What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and of course, hop in the Discord. Link for that's in the description box down below. Kicking off a Victory Monday, quite the victorious Monday, considering all the things that we managed to clinch in our victory yesterday. Of course, officially kicking off the MCF postseason.
Hell yeah.
Because our Cowboys are in the playoffs and we have quite a few things to talk about.
Yeah, you see right behind McCarthy's head, there's some stinky cheese on the horizon. Yeah, we got to take a look at the Green Bay Packers. They're up next, but first we're going to recap this last game of the regular season at Washington, a playoff game in my mind, in our minds, in your guys' minds, and, you know, it worked out for us here in the end, and we earned this second seed in the NFC and the NFC East crown as well. So before we get down, let's shout out those that rep the boards here on MCF, on the nightly, and this time, you know, starting off a new week on the weekly this week. Baby, who are some of the people repping the boards here, like our sponsor of the week? Back to back, right? Like the 90s Cowboys?
Yeah, the man who's also bossing the stream around, Jason Renfro.
Ooh, look at him with 37 points up there.
And also gifting a membership there. Congrats to Big Boss Man. He saw that to kind of kick things off. That's officially right. Here.
Jason Renfro now officially on the board and the membership gifting board. And he's on the overall board as well. So, hey, maybe he's coming for a three-peat like our guy Snug X, who's won 3 weeks in a row as the Cash App King. Had a lot of challengers this last week, but he did it again. 3 weeks in a row for Snug X. Much love to him. And currently, we do actually have some leaders there. I'll explain the leaders in a minute. Again, I think we did everything, right? Gifting, every board there. So we've done them all.
Shout out
right?
JD from DC.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, we did not. JD from DC. He's the gifting champion, the gifting king after taking a big lead over everyone else on the mix. So appreciate him.
Shout out to you. Appreciate you, JD.
He did it in enemy territory, JD from DC. We got that win in Washington this past weekend, yes. And there's Jason Renfro showing out again with a $1.18 holler as he's on our board here currently in, let me see. Yeah, he's currently in 4th place, I think, on there.
There it is. Oh. Thank you so much. And by the way, I believe that was Skeptical Fan who just dropped.
Oh, there it is.
A $3 holler. Shout out to you.
Mr. Skeptical, always staying skeptical.
Cracking me up. He said, I woke up at 5 a.m. and saw MCF on YouTube wasted. So yeah,
that's why you
MCF had a very celebratory
we celebrated
time.
Last night. I celebrated last night a little bit, and I'm paying for it today. But I'm good now. Thank you, though, Mr. Skeptical Fan on the board here, who is currently, I think he's in 7th place on the board. Can we have 7 places on the board already?
Yeah. Kicking off this week with a bang. Also, shout out to the man dropping some pre-stream love, Dwayne Broussard, the top dog. He dropped a $4 Dak holler, saying, here we go. Go Cowboys.
Always go Cowboys. Much love to the top dog, Dwayne Broussard. And if I look at this right now, this board here, again, Skeptical just got onto the Cash App side with that drop through Streamlabs. But Skeptical Fan currently is in 7th place on the board. Kicking off a new week literally right now. Dwayne Broussard is in 6th with the pre-stream drop. And we got Tammy Soltis, who's in the membership side of things. Much love to her and the Navy Blue crew. In 4th place, Jason Renfro, who just gifted a membership. He's on the top of the gifting board right now. I'll announce who's leading in the Cash App side in a minute. But I wanted to make sure I made that clear there about who's repping the boards right now on the overall leaderboard here. And let me fix that there. As I said, Jason's in 1st on the gifting board. But then we have Ready Red in 3rd place on the overall board. He gave through the Cash App. We got Smokey. You guys know Smokey. He's got a lot of names. But Smokey's on the board. He's in 2nd place and also dropped it in the Cash App. And then 1st place on the overall board and also 1st place on the Cash App board right now, Marissa Sparkle, star level member. Much love to you. Go Cowboys. She's repping that top spot on the board over everyone right now in the lead on the overall board as well. We shall see what happens as Jason Renfro says, hold up, I'm going to add a little bit more to that and drop another little dollar holler right there.
Woo! Thank you, Jason. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Always go Cowboys. Appreciate it. And again, he is slowly, of course, he'll be moving up that board, we know. But much love to Marissa Sparkle in the lead coming for that Snug X crown. Much love to Jason Renfro, who's got 36 points in the Stream Boss and back-to-back on the sponsor of the week. Also, he's leading the gifting board. Much love, this JD from DC, the gifting king of memberships. And like I said, overall, right now, Marissa Sparkle in that lead. So, baby, a lot of ways to drop the love here, especially this week. It's very important because you see at the bottom right, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's continuing the tallies from last week when it comes to this jersey raffle brought to you by The Lunatic. I'll speak on that in a minute, but we got people dropping. You jumping in the membership, you can give memberships. You just seen that happen, right? You've seen super chats. You can also give through the thanks button, but there's 4 other ways you can help out on the overall board side of things, helping out the channel, but also specifically an extra little special kind of bonus shout outs there on the Cash App side. How do people challenge for that, baby?
Of course, you have the Cash App, $ MyCowboysFamily, the Venmo at my-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and last but not least, the Streamlabs link. It lets your comment show up on screen just like the Super Chat.
Appreciate everybody on all those sides of things. We're kicking up a new week. Jason Raffle got the new write-up down there as well. And also, we always give, since there's nothing new here, we give nightly shout-outs to those that keep the thing going here. When it comes to the membership side, we got the Navy Blue crew in the silver level too. But we always shout out the top shelf memberships like the star level and over everything level memberships. Baby, who are they?
Thank you very much to Skeptical Fan, Jason Renfro, Lincoln Kane, Mary Alvarez, Andy Potched, Marissa Sparkle, Dwayne Broussard, The Lunatic, and over everything, Seabass.
Yes, much love to Seabass. Now, of course, we got, the star and over everything level membership raffle coming very, very soon here in the next couple of weeks. So, of course, always keep that in mind. The jerseys from Cowboy Mosh, sewn and stitched, old school, new school, a lot of different styles and sizes and the whole thing. But that's very important to kind of note for what's coming up this weekend during our wild card playoff Sunday afternoon game against the Green Bay Packers in Dallas. But we're going to have 4 Dak here. I guess you could get 4 for Dak, but it's from the Lunatic. 4 jerseys raffled off to, again, each person is going to 4 different winners, going to win a jersey each, and they get picked from all the ones that we have, like I just showed and just said. A lot of different styles, a lot of different players, of course, sizes, men, women, children. So a lot of different choices to pick from. If you're from another team, even, you could pick a jersey from another team. You could pick a jersey from another sport if it's available. So again, the Cowboys, though, most available, of course. And here at MCF, it's all about the Cowboys. So hopefully the winners are Cowboy fans. You know what I mean? But much love once again to the Lunatic. And now, how do people get into this? Because we're still counting the entries and the collections from last week. So this week, got a whole week left up until Saturday night to get into this raffle and add raffle entries. How do they do it, baby?
Of course, if you drop $10, bam, you're automatically entered. And, that is cumulative, right? On top of that, every additional bonus, $10, and keep on going as an additional bonus entry. Unlimited entries, like Mr. MCF said. If you're in the MCF membership, by the way, you get a bonus entry once you're in it.
Once you hit the 10, you get that bonus entry on top of it. So that's it. That's the rules. That's pretty simple. And
I can't wait to see the 4 lucky winners, right? Repping it for Dak as we head into our, playoff run
postseason
here.
time. This is the most important part of the season. This is the new season here. And we kick it off with a bang here. So good luck to everybody. Hopefully, not only we have 4 winners, each getting a jersey from the Lunatic, but we'll also have our Cowboys winning, hopefully, on Sunday against the Packers to go into the divisional round. It would be in Dallas if we get the win. We'll talk about it all here, and all week we'll talk about it, but we got to talk about other things here tonight as well.
Like the people in the chat tonight.
That's right. Who's repping it tonight and chatting with us about our Cowboys?
We have Fuego bringing the heat. What's up? Orion Files, hello and hi. Jason Renfro, who, by the way, dropped another dollar holler, go Cowboys
when that trickles through, hell yeah, go Cowboys.
Rolando Rodriguez all the way from South Texas. Skeptical fan always staying skeptical. And yes, in case those of you guys didn't know, and we're, around yesterday, Hurts did break a finger in
Hurts
his throwing
got
hands.
Hurts there, but I'll give a quick glance on that.
Choice Roberts, hello and hi. Stephen White, what's up, much love. We got Thomas Garrett, the Superior Garrett. Skeptical fan always staying skeptical. Let me see. Double R, hello and hi. Rolling back a little bit more here. Griff181, hello. S. Modius in the house. Daniel Berry Sports, much love to you. Lost in translation. Oh, yeah. So we clinched all sorts of cheeks, right? Dwayne Broussard, the top dog himself. Well, there's the Jason Renfro dollar holler.
There's a trickle-down dollar. He keeps adding to his. I mean, he's right now. He's like 6th place, 7th place on the board. But overall, for the week, he still has the most raffle entries for the last 2 weeks.
We have Cool in the house. Bruce got the toxic juice. Mike Aldana, hello and hi. Juan Carlos in the house. Let me just make sure. Devontae Alvarez. Trying to go back as far as I can here. Cool. NDM Boogie. Freedom First was not first. Sorry. Kind of coming down here. Drums and Cowboys, much love to you. With that said, congratulations to everybody here because, yay, we made it through the whole regular season. And now, buckle up.
Yeah.
Postseason time,
baby. The real season, right?
Why don't you go ahead and hit us because this is the final bit here. Now all the NFL news is going to be even more Cowboy adjacent as it either affects, some off-season stuff and some currently right now stuff. So, baby, what's kind of going on? Let's kick things off.
Yeah, let's go. Because we got to talk about, again, like exactly what you said. There's everything pretty much now is going to affect the Cowboys in some way, even if it's not our team. So, NFC East. Yesterday, after the Giants beat the Eagles, when the day came to an end today, Wink Martindale, their defensive coordinator, is resigning. I guess you could say he's quitting as defensive coordinator of the Giants to pursue a head coaching opportunity.
No.
And also maybe a defensive coordinator. Oh, what was that?
Jason
Choice Roberts in the house.
Gifting a membership there. Congrats.
Another
to Choice
one from
Roberts.
Jason, huh? Damn.
He was a lucky choice there.
Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you.
Jason Renfro once again. Now he's moving up the board. I'll fix that in a little bit.
All good. David Gallagher, hello and hi. And by the way, all our awesome MCF family members here from Texas, please stay safe, bundle up, stock up, do whatever you have to because that cold front is coming. And I guess we can all expect some slightly crazy weather these next 2 days or so. I know there's actually a really high possibility of tornadoes in our area. That's one of the reasons why, they changed some school stuff around here. I know lots of schools are also closing and things like that. So just crazy weather all around.
Yeah,
stay safe, guys.
Yeah, stay safe up in the Texas peeps, Dallas peeps, and everybody actually out there. But extra special thanks to Jason Renfro for that gifted membership, which, by the way, puts him currently in third place on the overall board. Of course, first place on the gifting board. He's up to 37 points on the Stream Boss, and of course, always will be the sponsor of the week this entire week. So again, appreciate Mr. Jason Renfro, and as always, go Cowboys.
Ooh.
Thank you. Now, as I was getting to this here, Wink Martindale's not retiring. He's quitting the Giants, trying to look for another defensive coordinator opportunity somewhere else, but also trying to pursue a head coaching possibility for him as well. So we'll see what happens with him. The Eagles, that you guys mentioned, Jalen Hurts, you said it. He underwent x-rays that showed no fracture. In that, it looked like it was a broken middle finger, but there was no fracture in the middle finger on his throwing hand. But it was officially dislocated. Remember that. It wasn't broken. It was dislocated, and it was no fracture. So good for him. He's good to go. I'm sure he'll be playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hurts himself said he's day-to-day. But because the Eagles and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'll show you the schedule in a minute, they play on Monday night. He gets an extra day to kind of rest that hand, right, for the NFC wild card game on Monday night. Now, another team that we might face in the second round, the Detroit Lions, their Pro Bowl rookie tight end, Sam Laporta, suffered a hyperextended knee and a bone bruise after the MRI came back. He's likely to miss some time, but Dan Campbell said it's not as bad as it could have been, so we might see him next week. Not this week, but let's say he probably misses this week against the Rams, but he might come back the next week if he wins. If the Lions win and we win, then
Detroit does what they would like to do, right? And Jason Renfro.
And we do what we want to do. We will see them in Dallas. But Sam Laporta could be the question mark there. We don't know. He's the second leading receiver on their team.
What we have to do.
Yeah, we got to win our game.
They can do whatever they want to do. This is what we have to do. But thank you, Jason Renfro. Yes, that $2.60 holler. Always go Cowboys.
Always and forever. You know the deal. And again, I'm going to kind of leave this out there, baby, so you can kind of. I guess we'll keep it. I have to update something on the board here, but it's something behind the scenes. But when I get to a stopping point...
I was going to say, we have a very news-filled day, guys. So, bear with us. Have a little patience. We want to make sure we get all the information out to you guys.
Yeah. And we're getting it to you. Don't worry, guys. It's just a lot of things after a season ending, right? The season ends yesterday. All these numbers.
It's not just a regular, week-to-week thing, right? Where we're talking about pretty much an entire 17 weeks worth of football that just got played.
Yeah, so it's the season-ending stuff, plus, of course, the turn-the-page playoff, much more important stuff than any records or things done in the regular season. We already all seen it together, all 18 games, or 18 weeks, but to me it's more, kind of wrapping up the regular season tonight's show, recapping the game yesterday, and of course, getting ready for what's coming, which again, really we have the whole week for that. We can take a little preview tonight. We cannot avoid anything on the Green Bay Packers. We knew that was our opponent last night when we got out of here, but we didn't know when we played, what time, and all that good stuff. So we'll go through all that with you guys here in a moment. But before I get there, the last thing I wanted to say was, and I wish Marco Sepping was in the house for this one because I know he would definitely appreciate it. And that is the top rookies, I guess you can say, that actually played all 17 games on the offensive line. I'm saying offensive line here for a reason because the O-line is where, that's kind of where we always say, you've said, baby, that it's hard to find quality and that often anymore in the league, right? When it comes to offensive lineman depth or anything like that.
Yeah, there's a deficit of offensive linemen throughout the league. So, when guys do well, it's like there's an even bigger spotlight on them for most teams, right? Like we said, we know O-line isn't exactly a sexy position either. So, we're talking real football here. So...
Yeah, and that's an important position, as we've always said here, right? I mean, we always said how important it is to have an offensive line solid. So what was the second-round pick that we had this year? I mean, obviously we all remember what it was, right? And you look at our picks here, the second-round pick was Luke Schoonmaker, tight end, where we could have gotten someone like O'Cyrus Torrence. So when you look at the 7 rookie offensive linemen to start all 17 games, O'Cyrus Torrence was one of them.
Ouch.
For the Buffalo Bills. Again, starting. He didn't miss time for injury. He didn't get benched. Starting all 17 games. O'Cyrus Torrence, NFL starter. We've been saying this on MCF here. I would have loved to take them. Took him at that second round, but we got Luke Schoonmaker, who doesn't done really much at all for us. So one of the 7 offensive linemen, O'Cyrus Torrence, Darnell Wright, which we really liked. He's a really high draft pick. Anton Harrison, Paris Johnson Jr., Matthew Bergeron, who was our other pick in the first round that we took Mozzie Smith instead of him. Matthew Bergeron started every game this year on the offensive line. Steve Avila, we liked him. These names sound familiar, right?
Yeah.
3 of these names we've been pushing, whether it was O'Cyrus Torrence, Steve Avila, or Matthew Bergeron, and all 3 of them started all 17 games on the offensive line for their respective teams. Cody Mauch was another guy. He was a later pick for us too. He started all the games. Look, we got TJ Bass, we got other guys, but I'm just gonna let you know that's why offensive line is so important to get someone like an O'Cyrus Torrence when you have him sitting right there.
And I hate to play the whole shoulda, woulda, coulda game when it comes to previous year's drafts or whatever, but I feel like in every draft there's always the one that got away, that one guy that you always kind of, whenever you hear his name, you're like, yeah, I remember. We could have had that, right? Like the same way that, when you hear TJ Watt, like a little part of you dies inside.
Taco TJ,
exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, when you look here, Mozzie Smith, we got Bergeron instead of him. Second round could have been, Darnell Washington. Like Stephen White's saying at tight end, if we really wanted to, we could have maybe waited on him in the third round where Overshown, not saying I don't like Overshown, but he missed the whole year. So you look at the top 3 picks, I mean, we could have got top 3 talent would have started the whole year for us in this season over similar positions outside of defensive tackle, similar positions that we're in need of here. So I just want to throw it out there. Not going to dwell on this because it's still a long careers for all these guys, but hopefully our guys, hopefully Overshown comes back strong from his injury. Schoonmaker gets utilized more so, better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, O'Cyrus Torrence was the real deal. We skipped on him. And that's the clown show portion of things. That's the Joneses making that kind of final decision, I guess you can say on that. So what about other final decisions like coaching on our side? Because there's, of course, I know it's not my title, but we knew Dan Quinn's going to get a lot of looks from a lot of teams this offseason and try to get signed somewhere else. Tomorrow, just want to let you know, Jerry Jones is going to be, of course, talking on his, 105.3 The Fan interview that he always does every Tuesday. And he's going to show full support. That's the expectation. Full 110 support to head coach Mike McCarthy. But he's also going to talk about, or I guess he'll be asked about Dan Quinn. And that's the thing, guys. Dan Quinn right now expected to be one of the hottest names in this year's coaching cycle.
No surprise.
Yep. And he's expected to have heavy interest from multiple teams.
No surprise.
Day one, already multiple interest from 3 teams. So the first team that came to the table is the Carolina Panthers. They requested to interview Dan Quinn for their vacancy at head coach. Still, though, I'm going to say this. I doubt that Dan Quinn himself will go and take that job. Will leave the Cowboy job for the Carolina head coaching job. For the, again, you got Tepper, the owner, who's having tantrums in there. He'll probably leave to a team that's a quote-unquote better organization, number one, and maybe more pieces to win a little quicker, right? I was
just about to say, Dan Quinn does not strike me as the type to want to completely rebuild a franchise, and this isn't even a knock on his skill set. I don't know if he's necessarily equipped to do so. You know what I mean? He's the type that, you give him some kind of baseline foundation to start with, and he'll grow it from there.
Yeah, definitely
Does
defensively.
That make sense? But
defensively, he can develop it, right? But as a head coach, that could be a whole different situation. We saw it in Atlanta a little bit.
Let's be real. It's hard for any coach at all, pretty much anywhere, to build an organization and grow it. You know what I mean? Most of them do need some kind of anchor. Heck, even McCarthy didn't just go anywhere. He wasn't in a rebuilding type of mood. He wasn't in anchoring type of mood, right? I think Sean Payton's an example of a guy who was in a rebuilding mindset, but even they had a few anchors here or there, like Russell Wilson or whatever, even if he didn't like him.
Yeah, he didn't like him at all. He didn't want Russell as his quarterback. That's the thing. Dan Quinn might not have wanted to have, what's his name? Bryce Young as his number one pick. Maybe he would have went with CJ Stroud if he was in control of things. So
exactly.
A lot of teams don't want to start off behind the eight ball. Like you
said, no surprise that Dan Quinn is, the prettiest belle at the ball when it comes to one of the top names here for head coaching interviews.
Right, and it didn't stop there. The Panthers were the first team, but there were two other teams that actually announced that they wanted to interview him, and that was the Los Angeles Chargers. Okay. To me, no surprise. I know he was one of the names that was going to be reported anyways to be going out there, but you also got Kellen Moore.
That's one of my
got
favorites,
a lot of input in there.
Personally, for a landing spot for Quinn, if he does choose to move on. Obviously,
I've always had they have the most pieces, I think, right? You can start with a little bit.
Yeah, but while also still being, like I said, I've gone over this before. I don't really want to touch on it now, but my point is, I just think it's a smart fit. It makes sense. I think it's a good fit for Quinn, good fit for the Chargers. And yeah, there is that familiarity factor of, Kellen Moore still sticking around if that's obviously the direction that the Chargers choose to go.
I will say one last thing. The Chargers are not a team that has, is known for being a great organization or handling things properly because they fucked up a lot of things. So that's another thing to keep in mind when it comes to Dan Quinn. The other team, believe it or not, is probably the team that's fucked up the most. And that was our opponent this last weekend, the Washington Commanders. They are also requesting an interview with Dan Quinn for their head.
And said, I want it.
They're requesting him for they have Rivera, who was wasn't he the defensive coordinator for them kind of as well at the end of the year here? They fired Jack Del Rio. So I don't know, they're going to replace his defensive mind with Dan Quinn. And it just took away Chase Young and Montez Sweat, who, by the way, I think he has a record, right? Like, he's only got to lead his team in sacks in the same season. Montez Sweat.
I think he leads two different teams in sacks, respectively. So he had 6.5 sacks with the Bears, and he had 6 sacks with the Washington Commanders. He
started with the Commanders and then ended up with the Bears. But either way, that's kind of amazing. Both those guys, defensive, cornerstones gone. I don't know if Dan Quinn's going to want to go with a trash organization like Washington, in my opinion. But either way, all three of these teams are officially asking to interview Dan Quinn for their vacancy, not for defensive coordinator, but for the head coaching job. And of course, I don't think he can do anything until after January 22nd. I don't know. I think he has to wait to a certain point before he can even do any of these interviews, which is kind of one of the new tampering rules that we've been kind of hearing about there. So, anyways, that's the update on Dan Quinn. Don't know if anybody has any quick thoughts on that in the chat as far as, it's not a surprise. He's not going anywhere yet.
Yeah, Stephen White said, that means our team rocks, y'all. The 90s, everybody wanted pieces. Any piece of our team that they could get, it's the price of brilliance.
I agree, but in the 90s we won Super Bowls, right? We got to win some now. And hopefully before they vulture all of our guys.
Yeah, Mike Aldana throwing out there, the Chargers are the only team that makes sense. And again,
out of the three, I think they make the most sense. I agree with you on that.
But of course, remember, this is generally just the first 3 teams. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't end up with 7-8 interviews by the time we're all done here.
For sure.
So, let me see. Yeah, Stephen White said he won't have a Kellen. So he thinks that, Kellen Moore will either get the boot or that Quinn will want him out and replaced by somebody else. Maybe.
The Chargers, though, they want him. So we'll see.
So, let me see here. Anyway, back to you, baby.
Yeah, we'll keep it rolling here. Dan Quinn talk. There you go. There's also, of course, let's turn the page now. If we got the NFL news, coaching kind of moves or whatever may happen or not, interviews. Let's talk about the playoffs, guys. That's what it's all about now, and that's what we're in now here. The 2024 NFL playoffs. As you can see, there's your entire layout there on the left of, you know, the opponents and how they're going to play, and me at the Super Bowl there in Vegas. But on the right, you'll see, you know, all the games. You see the first seeds there, of course, on vacation for a week. You see the AFC teams. You see the NFC teams there and the seeds. So again, as you know, Cowboys are going up against the 7th seed Green Bay Packers. Our game is on Sunday, officially on Sunday. And I say Sunday, I mean, you know, this Sunday coming up here, which the 14th. So Sunday, this January 14th, it's going to be at 4:30. I think it's 4:30, right? Yeah, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So at Dallas time is 3:30. That's when this game's going to kick off against the Green Bay Packers. And again, what is the line right now? Just the opening, kind of quick glance on this. What's the opening line? Mm-hmm. Right now, we're favored by 7.5 points at home.
Which, by the way, is super funny because as soon as our game ended, and it was basically like confirmed, like, okay, it's going to be Green Bay, we were announced as 7-point favorites. By the time that we officially ended our live stream, about like 30, 45 minutes after the game or whatever, we were already at 7.5. So yeah. I just thought that was really funny how quickly that little half-point adjustment was made.
Yeah, and we'll see how it fluctuates throughout the week. I'm sure injury reports and that kind of stuff, but
will impact it.
Yeah, all that stuff.
As they should.
Yeah, all that stuff will impact it for sure. But when you look at the over-under, the expectation is about 48.5 points for the over-under, the combined points for both teams. So, you know, you're looking at a little bit in the 20s there for both teams. If you're looking at, you know, 30 to 20s, you know, something like that, 28 to 20. Look, point here being the Dallas Cowboys. People always say, well, we didn't play enough good teams. We didn't beat any good teams. The Cowboys, we've literally beaten the NFC 3rd seed Lions, the NFC 5-seeded the Eagles, and the 6th-seeded team on here, which is the Rams. All right. We also had a game-winning drive that was blown at the end of the game by the defense against the Dolphins, which, of course, you can see on the other side of the 6th seed. And then, well, you can't see them there, but, you know, boom, they are the 6th seed playing at Kansas City. That's the first game of the playoff schedule on Saturday. But, and if you don't remember, I mean, again, that we gave up the defense gave up the game-winning field goal after we went down there and got the game-winning drive. So, you know, we beat 3 solid teams in the NFC, right? Good teams in the NFC, and almost took care of the 6th-seeded Dolphins there, who almost won their division. Yes, they blew it at the end. But basically, the Cowboys now hosting the Green Bay Packers, all right? And, you know, some people are, you know, because some people out there still hating Dak, whatever the reason is, I don't understand it. But basically, he's a quarterback who outplayed every other quarterback for pretty much the entire season because, you know, I would say because of some mismanagement by the coaching in the beginning of the season, the first 5 games, by the way we ran that offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, imagine if Dak had those games and played them again the way he, you know, I'm not saying we probably would have beat the Cardinals at least, right? Play a little better against the Niners. It's hard to say
just because, remember, you know, adjustments are just that. You know, McCarthy had to go through those first few weeks to kind of figure things out and maybe come out of it on the other side of it. Mm-hmm. But yes, it is almost nice to think about, oh man, what would we have looked like had we been able to figure it out from earlier on, had we not had those 5 weeks of just, you know, stumbling through the sand.
I'll even call it up to 6 weeks with the Charger game. So I don't even think we did that great in that game. We're just starting to open it up.
That was the beginning of the turning point.
Yeah, that was the view of it. And then we, of course, over the 2 weeks by, that's when we really perfected it, I would say, the change. Either way, the Cowboys are hosting the Packers in Dallas next, you know, this Sunday coming up here for the NFC playoffs. Mike McCarthy is going up against his former team, his ex-team, and he's going against the coach, Matt LaFleur, who replaced him in Green Bay. So, you know, McCarthy, he's going to talk about it today. He's not going to let that get under his skin and be a focal point. He just said it don't matter who we play. But either way, that's the facts of the situation. The Cowboys, only undefeated team at home in the NFL this year with we have currently a 16 home winning streak in the NFL. That's the longest current streak. I mean, that's the only current. That's the active, streak right now. The best active streak in the NFL as far as home wins. I'm not sure if they count them for the playoffs or regular seasons. Like, usually they have 2 different records going. So if we keep winning in the playoffs and we're at home, they'll go to 17-18, but I think it does go for regular season as well. So we'll see how that goes. As long as we win our home games, no matter how they count it, it counts towards something, towards us winning at home. That's what matters. So 16-game home winning streak for the Cowboys as we're going to get this Green Bay game in Dallas. McCarthy's going to have a chance to knock his old team out of the playoffs as head coach of the Cowboys. And if we happen to win this game against Green Bay, it would guarantee us a home game in the divisional round. You see it there in the divisional round. The Niners have that first one. It's the highest seed left. If we lose and the Lions win, the Lions would be the home team. They would be in that other above that end for the NFC. They would be there. If we win, automatically we are the second seed. And by the way, if we do win, and then that night game, which is the Rams at the Lions, if the Lions win that game, it's set in stone. It's going to be Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. That's a known thing. So just keep that in mind when it comes to this week's game. But if we do beat them, we move on to the divisional round, which would be, again, in AT&T Stadium. And we only hosted one game in the divisional round in AT&T Stadium. And that was the game that McCarthy's Packers, with Aaron Rodgers, knocked out rookie Dak Prescott that year. That's the only game we ever hosted in AT&T Stadium as a divisional round playoff game. So this will be number 2. If we get this win against the Packers, it'll be the second ever in our new stadium. Now, of course, the old one.
And a few of you guys mentioned this, I think, during the end of yesterday's Game Day Reaction live stream. Green Bay has technically never lost in AT&T Stadium. Yeah. Remember, specifically AT&T Stadium.
Pretty sure last time we beat them. Yeah, last time we beat them.
We beat them in their own house.
We beat them in 2016, that same year, in their own house.
Exactly.
Dak is a rookie.
But as far as them coming into our house, again, so one way or the other, somebody's streak is going to be broken here. And more than just playoff implications.
Yeah, I think it's going to be us breaking their asses in this streak here.
Hell to the yeah.
Again, guys, head coach Matt LaFleur taking over for McCarthy, right? Also, one of the youngest teams to ever make the playoffs this year. So they have a very, very young team. They have first-year starting quarterback, Jordan Love, taking over for Aaron Rodgers. They have, Green Bay. They have 2,250 yards receiving by rookies. Those numbers are by rookies. That's the third most in NFL history. Only the 1960 Houston Oilers and the 1960 Dallas Texans had more. So, again, think about that, guys. They have over 2,200 yards just by rookies in receiving. So a lot of their receivers are going to be rookies. We have to, as a team defense, have to slow them down. These young, fast kids, right? So
look, let's be real. It is the exact opposite. It's like we flipped the script from the first time, from that 2016 time, in the sense of we were the young rookie, team. Untested team with lots of guys trying to prove themselves and things like that. Whereas they were coming into it with the more experienced veteran team, with the more, already set in stone at that time offense. You know what I mean?
Really the favorite team in a way, right?
Exactly.
Against us that game.
So,
now it's reverse. Yeah. Now we're the favorite team. We're the experienced team. They're the young team here. When you look at our guys, of course, like Dak Prescott, right? We're going to talk about it a little later here tonight, but Dak Prescott eventually has led the NFL with 36 passing touchdowns. Yeah, he had 32, added 4 more to that. With 36 passing touchdowns during the regular season, he's him and only one other guy. I think it's some guy from 1945 where they, threw the most picks one season, and then the following season backed it up with throwing the most touchdowns. It's only happened once in history. Dak has done that. But more than that, I wanted to compare it to this upcoming game. Dak has 36 passing touchdowns, right? Jordan Love was second in the NFL in passing touchdowns. So he had 32 passing touchdowns. Remember, Purdy sat out this last game, so he didn't get any, and Jordan Love passed him up. Jordan Love is the second. We have number 1 in passing touchdowns. They're number 2 as far as quarterback at passing touchdowns with Jordan Love. So keep that in mind. This is the first time in NFL history that the outright top 2 leaders in passing touchdowns are going to meet in a playoff opening game.
Interesting.
So first time ever we're seeing that. Now, when it comes to Jordan Love, I'm just going quick. This is just literally a first glance, but tomorrow we'll take a deeper first look at this. But PFF, when you look at the grade in the second half of the season for Jordan Love and the quarterback position, Jordan Love is second best by the PFF numbers. So he's really been his growth has been outstanding from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. the last half of the season, Brock Purdy was ranked number 1. Jordan Love was ranked number 2. Dak Prescott number 3. But going by the PFF numbers.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love's growth comes from really more than him growing. It's him growing. And see, this is why I say it's always important about the coaching and the scheme and the play calling, because he's getting better largely because of the way the Packers have called their scheme and called the offensive plays in the second half of the season. And that's really more than anything. That's why you're seeing the growth of Jordan Love here so quickly. He was capable of much more than they probably assumed or would have guessed. So that's probably why you're seeing the expansion of things throughout the year, and he's able to grasp it and handle it and do well in it. So, of course, young team, inexperienced. We should have our way with this team, of course, with the first glance here, but cannot overlook anyone. This is going to be a tougher game than you guys might think. Stephen A. Smith, when he's seeing where we ended up with the second seed, he said today on Get Up, he said, quote, "This is the best shot that the Dallas Cowboys have had to make the Super Bowl since 1995. So Stephen A. Smith, trying to give us a side jinx or something, because it just feels like he's trying to say, "Oh, we're ready to do it again," right?
I think it's more that even he has to grudgingly admit that the Cowboys getting to this point is, I don't want to say significant, but for lack of a better word, yeah, significant. Now, does that mean that he thinks, we're going to make it all the way or whatever? No, it just means that we're definitely poised to be in the best position that we have been. And again, a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
as far as
that's what I'm
setting us up with the team we have with experience, not like in 2016, but setting us up with a team that has experience, been together for 3 straight years with the same record, a lot of the core same players, and then with the second seed. I think that's where you're setting yourself up to do the best as you can. So I agree with that. Now, for this game, I don't know who's going to be showing. We can't make this game, but I don't know who's going to be showing up to this game. But the Cowboys are already announcing it. It's going to be a whiteout.
Ooh.
So make sure you guys wear all white for this game if you're going to it.
Jerseys ready.
Yeah, jerseys, white jerseys, color rush jerseys, whatever it may be. They're going to wear their whites at home, I'm sure, but try to go all white if you can, guys. Again, be loud, wear white Sundays, said the Dallas Cowboy homepage and website. This is their little mantra right now: seize everything, white out. So again, and by the way, they've also been having that carpe omnia language, the seize everything stuff all around the star and in the streets with banners and stuff like this. So here's the point: seize everything. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks with the Lions and the Washington game, but now with the Washington game, we all are on the same page that it is time to seize everything, and we did it at least the first step of now there's 4 steps still remaining. So hopefully the Cowboys go hard with it there. They put out the thing today, the Cowboy front office, encouraging fans to wear white at AT&T Stadium for the NFC wildcard game. Whiteout will be taking place, guys, Sunday, January 14th, 3:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central your time there, local time, but 4:30 Eastern time. And one last note about this game itself is, we know the referee, which we'll be doing a ref check this week. Don't worry. But Ron Torbert is the referee, head ref for this game. So we'll be looking for Mr. Torbert and crew to come into town in the Big D and hopefully ref a fair game, as fair as they can make it for us. The Cowboys, are the number 2 seed in the playoffs. They're the number 2 seed, second seed. We've been other seed. We've been first seed and third seed. But this is the first time we're the second seed in the playoffs for the first time since 1994.
Ooh.
94, guys. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but basically, we lost in basically almost every divisional round since 2007 to 2022 that we've been in the playoffs for. And that was the first seed, third seed, fourth seed, or fifth seed. And then from basically 1998 to 2006, we lost in every wild card round that every time we got to the wild card in the playoffs, we lost every time with the third seed, fifth seed, or sixth seed. And then before that, in 96, we lost in the divisional round as the third seed. In 95, we were the number 1 seed. We won the Super Bowl. In 94, we were the 2 seed. As I said, the last time we did the number 2 seed was 94, and we lost in the NFC title game at San Francisco. And of course, 93, we were the 1st seed. We won the Super Bowl. In 92, we were the 2nd seed. Went to San Francisco and won there, upset them and won the Super Bowl. So again, because this would be the beginning, kind of taking it back. Not to 94 when we lost as a 2nd seed, but let's take it back to 92 when we actually overcame all the odds with a new era of our players and went to our first Super Bowl of 3, won our first Super Bowl of 3 in 4 years. Let's see that happen now, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But either way, It's been a while since the Cowboys been a second seed, and that was 94 and 92 the last 2 times we were there. Any quick comments in the chat, baby, or thoughts?
Of course. By the way, Stephen White said, they're all just going to blow smoke out our, they're all going to blow smoke out our ass when we win. We just need to stay focused.
Bullseye.
So, Chuck Montana away said, Stephen A. Smith is hurting inside.
Yeah, inside he's crying.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, for him to even say this much and grudgingly have to give us that measure of respect, oh man, it's burning him. But we'll see, right, how it actually ends up going. Stephen White also said, I want all the smoke. Make this ring best 6. Funny Clip said, the Cowboys got this for real. So Double R saying the noise in the stadium for the playoff game is going to be crazy for Green Bay. So, yeah.
That's what we need our fans to bring it.
I never in a million years would have thought we had such a strong home field advantage, partially because of our fans and their volume and stuff. So, shout out to everybody who, contributed to that in any capacity.
Yeah, keep contributing to that, right?
Yeah, gotta keep on screaming. By the way, the man, the lunatic, huge shout out to you. Appreciate you, of course, representing here as the MCF resident, raffle sponsor, basically, in a way. But thank you so much for making it happen there, guys. If you didn't know, the lunatic is, showing the love to the MCF family. We have 4 awesome lucky winners who are going to be winning their own choice of a jersey. If you drop $10, bam, you're in that raffle.
Let me get it up, but that's not it. Sorry. Let me get it up for Mr. the Lunatic so we know what we're talking about.
So I'm trying to give you time to finish the behind-the-scenes stuff you're working on there.
Yeah, I'm shouting somebody out here, too, in a minute. Go ahead,
But
baby.
yes, $10, bam, you're in it, guys. The entries do stack, right? Because every additional $10 is an additional bonus entry, and that's unlimited. So you can, as much as you drop, as many as you get.
Yeah, after every 10, you get another raffle entry. So once you hit that 10, yeah, I know. I'm just reiterating it. The fact that once you hit that 10, if you're in the membership, you get that bonus membership raffle entry. So good luck to those. It has its perks, right? And speaking of, let me give you an example, baby, of what it works. Again, it's 4 winners. Each person going to win one of these jerseys, sewn and stitched, authentic like. But Stanley Smith just said, give me a couple entries added onto that. Remember, we're taking this from last week, right? So we keep adding them up. Stanley Smith threw 2 more entries in the mix because he dropped a $20 Cash App holler.
Woo.
And he jumps into 3rd place on the overall board. He is still, it was crazy because Marissa got a nice little lead right now, but it's been cut into a 3rd, let's say, by Stanley Smith, who is 3rd place behind Smokey and behind Marissa Sparkle, in 1st place of the Cash App side. And actually, it's also the same on the overall board side. So right now, all 3 on the top of the board overall are the top 3 Cash Appers as well. So appreciate you, Stanley Smith. As the man said, Go Cowboys. And hey, by the way, Stanley, if you listen, I hope that you did receive your, I hope you received that package, the 4th place raffle package, the winning pack. Yeah, the car pack there. So that was from the Lunatic as well. Maybe this time it's a jersey on there.
And speaking of, all the jerseys on the MCF side of things were all shipped out. So Skeptical Fan, Andy Potch, Amazing Games, you guys should all be getting those. Yeah,
those are the last batch. Remember, the newest Lunatic ones have not been shipped and not been done yet, but close to it. The 2 winners.
These are the ones we were kind of fingers crossed hoping we would get right before Christmas, and unfortunately they got here right after instead.
Those are the Christmas misses, huh? Yeah, well, it can't help that. It's more of a, when it comes to us, and of course with the holidays it became a lot more slowed down, bogged down. But we finally got them out, and thank you guys to the winners right there.
You'll definitely have them in hand before our Cowboys take the field again.
Yeah, you got the extra special send out there. So, yes, guys, we appreciate you all for the winners for this. And, hey, we'll have 4 new winners of these jerseys on Sunday afternoon, the halftime of this game. So, keep it stacking. Much love to Stanley Smith, who's stacking those raffle entries and currently in 3rd place on the overall and Cash App board. So, we catch up with everybody in the chat. We can keep it moving here forward because now we're going to take this green. Fuck the Packers. We'll talk about them the rest of this week. But right now we got to talk about our past game here and what to look forward to going forward in the mix here when it comes to what our players, coaches said, some stats that we need to kind of look into and bring it into the playoffs here with us. So we're going to talk about that here right now. Now, the Cowboys have won the NFC East for the 2nd time in 3 seasons. All right? So we won 2 years ago, Eagles got it last year. We got it this year. Still, of course, no team has. I don't think it's in 2006 anybody has won the NFC East back to back.
Yeah, it's an 18-year streak.
It is insane. So, Cowboys are finishing 12-5, the third consecutive season under Mike McCarthy. That's not easy to do.
Again,
I don't think we never had that with Garrett. Ever.
Talk about consistency. Again, if anything, McCarthy has shown, Jason Garrett was consistently mediocre with our 8-8 seasons and things like that, but McCarthy is consistently above average.
Yeah, 12-5 is pretty good for the last 3 years with McCarthy. So, first year was COVID, and the other year was that we were 10-6 or something like that. The point is, 3 straight years of 12-5. No coach in Cowboy history. Not one coach, not Tom Landry, not Jimmy Johnson, not Bill Parcells, not one coach in Cowboy history has won 12 games in 3 straight seasons. Now, of course, now they play 17 games, so obviously it's a little easier to win the 12 games. But the more important thing to me is that this year he took over calling plays, and we still stand at that 12-win mark, right? So, kudos to Mike McCarthy for that. As a team, the Cowboys, as a team, listen to some of these things that happened. Cowboys ranked top 5. In points, we were number 1 in the NFL. We ranked 5th best in yardage in the NFL on offense. Points allowed, we were 5th best in the NFL. In yards allowed on defense, 5th best in the NFL. Point differential, 2nd best in the NFL. We were 5th in yards allowed in the NFL. And, point differential, we were 2nd. And yardage differential, 3rd. So a lot of differentials, a lot of games that we've dominated, whether it was bad opponents or we did a great job. Either way, it's the first time a Cowboys team has ranked in the top 5 in each of all these categories since 1992, where the Cowboys ranked 2nd, 4th, 5th, 1st, 2nd, and 1st in all these categories I just mentioned. Just means that we're back into the top 5 mix. We haven't had a team like this since the 90s Cowboys. Now, we haven't won them. But we have a team similar to this in the way that we're putting up the stats, the numbers. The Cowboys finished the 2023 season with a point differential of plus 194 for the season. That is the 3rd best point differential in a Cowboys season in franchise history. 1968 Cowboys finished with a crazy plus 245 point differential. 1966 Dallas Cowboys finished with a plus 206 point differential. Tom Landry was just blowing teams out just to do it, right? And of course this year, the 3rd. So the most modern, any modern team since Super Bowl era, really, it's been this team. This is the team that has the best point differential with plus 194. Also, the Cowboys have scored 485 points this year. 485 points, guys. That's the 2nd most points scored in a season in Dallas Cowboy team history. The only team that scored more was 530 points, and that was in 2021 under the Kellen Moore, shooting out kind of offense. So again, another dominating offensive year for our Cowboys. So and that's this time under the tutelage of Mike McCarthy, and he's running the show now. Of course, as we're preparing for this Green Bay game, and he's got his team 12-5 3 years in a row. As we're preparing for this game, what are some of the things he was saying about this upcoming matchup against the Green Bay Packers, his former team?
He said the drama of it, I'm sure you guys will love, but I will not participate in it this year. It's playoff time. It doesn't matter who we play, to be honest with you. We need to play our best football. It doesn't matter who we play or where we play them. That has to be our mindset. Last year, I thought it was important for me to talk about Green Bay at the beginning of the week with the team. I regretted it. That doesn't even need to come into our energy base, but you live and you learn. This game is about our commitment. It doesn't matter who we're playing. That's where I am. There's just no time for that. It will not help us win, and if it will not help us win the game, I'm not interested. At the end of the day, this is my team. I'm a Dallas Cowboy. This is our opportunity, and I'm just making sure I'm doing my part, and that's doing everything I can to help win this game.
I like those. I like what he's saying. He's got the right mindset going forward. So that's a good start there from McCarthy. He was also asked about the preparation for situational football, 3rd and 13, or so what he said that the team clearly, again, he said, quote, "We clearly spend 25 to 30% more time on end of game situational football than I did in my earlier years a lot of it is carryover from Green Bay. Which means that, hey, listen, he was doing a lot of stuff in Green Bay towards the end of his time there that he was working a lot more and more on end of game situations. Make sure we can come back, have confidence in coming back in a game. Something that maybe I didn't see that with really Jason Garrett. I'm going to be honest, guys. You know, Parcells had it, Jimmy Johnson had it, Landry had it, but the other guys didn't, and that includes Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
McCarthy has a little bit of this here, and I think it's important that that he kind of spending a lot more time. Again, in his beginning of his career at Green Bay, he was spending, let's say, 10% of the time on end of game situation. Now, 25 to 30%. So that's a big jump, and it's good to see him working. It's paying off in my mind. Now, McCarthy said the relationship that he has right now with Dak Prescott and the success they both had this year, quote, Dak likes to say, I'm calling it, and he's hauling it. That's the way it has to go, end quote. So, hey, but I like the teamwork there between them. Dak is confident in McCarthy's calls. McCarthy's confident in calling plays for Dak. That is what you have to have that to have a chance.
Dak trusts McCarthy to not just run the offense correctly, but to manage Dak himself correctly in that sense. Like the same way that Dak throws it and trusts CeeDee Lamb to catch it, that's how Dak trusts McCarthy to run it.
Yeah, and vice versa too.
Yeah.
Because McCarthy got a beginning of the year, maybe we didn't see that much.
Tremendous faith in Dak.
But in the beginning of the year, it didn't seem like it. With that janky fucking offense.
Yeah.
So now you can see they both are trusting. They're both on the same page. That may be the most important thing. These situational end of game situations that he's been practicing, but also on the same page with your quarterback. Those are the two things you have to have if you want to try to win a game in the final moments. And especially now in the playoffs, that's all we're going to have. It's important playoff games. So
moments, right?
If we get down to final moments, we should have the ability to make a good run, a good chance to get in the game, win the game, whatever it means. So, practice squad, the camaraderie of this team. It includes the practice squad, guys. They always travel with the entire Cowboy team on road games. McCarthy said it's a philosophy that he employs because he says every player is part of this team. So why would he leave a part of the team behind? Another, I would say, classy, good coaching move by Mike McCarthy. Of course, you have to have the money by Jerry Jones to fly him out there, but he's able to do this. He's able to do this.
To me, I take that more as, remember, guys, we give McCarthy credit for lots of things, but he managed to keep this team not just together, but that brotherhood feeling, right? This is how you build that. It's not just about talking the talk, it's walking the walk. And he's making everybody feel part of this team because everyone is part of this team. Yeah,
it's really, I got to give him credit for, bouncing back in a year, taking things over in a more real way than he did before. He was not really allowed to do all these things when Kellen Moore was calling the offense and Jerry Jones had his grasp and grip on this team. So Jerry Jones let off some of the grip, and McCarthy's able to do a little bit more, and it's working, at least the little bit more he's doing right now. We don't know how it's going to work all the way out. If he's going to fumble and bumble some play calls or some situational, time management shit, that pisses us off. But in the end, he's more helpful than Jason Garrett was. And I've been saying that for years. We need to get rid of Garrett and bring anybody else in here. McCarthy, anybody wouldn't have done this, but I'm just saying somebody who is trusting, we can trust them into a system here. McCarthy's had it pay off for us. So another thing that's important to know, and that it comes back to even the front office, and I'm sure McCarthy pushed for this too, but it's our analytics department. How many times have we talked about this maybe more than anybody else in the creator and Cowboy creator content world, but we always talk about John Park, Sarah Malapale, and many others that are in the new group of 7 people they hired to their analytics department. I mean, they went from like 1 or 2 and they fired them to like 7. And they're like high-powered people from all over the NFL. So McCarthy today actually addressed that. He said, quote, I think our new analytics department has been awesome. I've enjoyed having John Parks and his staff. This is, again, you guys don't, maybe some people don't care about this, but this is so important to have because this is why we are able to maybe match up and practice better because of these analytics that are getting pushed through to McCarthy, at least being made available to him, and he uses it. Yeah. Says, okay, I like this, I don't like this, but they are really working in tandem. Using that knowledge
as well to, make other decisions, whether to go for it, or heck, let's simplify it even more. What kind of play would be most successful on a 3rd and 6 against Green Bay when they have blah 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 out there? You know what I'm
exactly.
When
they have this personnel, this formation.
Exactly. Well, when they're in man coverage, the point is that the analytics, there's a variety of ways that they can help, and clearly McCarthy is implementing them in a variety of ways.
They're doing a good job accumulating analytics, and he's doing a good job in taking them in, and then applying them to the team. So again, this is a revamped analytics team in Dallas, and again, I've heard Jerry Jones hired them, but it was McCarthy's push. It's thanks to McCarthy we have this new analytics team. So McCarthy gets credit here again. And obviously, to me, it's obvious, especially after the bye week when it kind of was more like, let's say, when the season would have started for a regular analytics team, because our analytics team was hired into June and July. So that was already, usually these things are done in February and March. So that's kind of when it started hitting the stride, right when McCarthy kind of changed up some of the offense. And that, I think a lot of the explosiveness on the offense and explosiveness comes from the revamped analytics team because of McCarthy bringing them in. So, I might not like everything about McCarthy, but you got to give him credit where credit is due. And this is due credit here. Now, what about injury situations, right? Because we got McCarthy yesterday after the game. We, of course, our biggest concern after the game yesterday was Stephon Gilmore with that shoulder injury. So McCarthy after the game, and I think I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. He said that Gilmore's shoulder is going through something new. Quote, he told me he's going to be fine and ready to go, but we have to see how he feels on Monday and throughout practice. And then, again, after today's MRI and all the x-rays and everything they checked in today by the doctors, MRI showed no significant damage on cornerback Stephon Gilmore's shoulder from his injury on Sunday. So that is unbelievable. I mean, I saw that. I almost jumped up in the air. I was like, yes, that's great news. What does that mean,
Exactly the news that we were hoping to get today.
Yeah, and again, Gilmore after the game told reporters that he's playing in the wild card game.
Okay.
He said that in some of the quotes after the game to some of the... But the point is, one thing to say it, another thing to actually, if you have a serious injury or anything like this. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's very important to our defense. Without Trayvon Diggs, that much more important. He finished 6th in total forced incompletions this year. 6th in the NFL with 16. That's the first year with the Cowboys. He's already forcing incompletions, involved in plays, past breakups. Of course, it has a couple of picks. So Gilmore, just a great year, a great player to have on your team, veteran. And if we missed him, now we have Young Bland and Lewis who plays only slot. We'd be in bigger trouble. So we had Nashawn Wright come in and fill in yesterday. Luckily, the game was very out of kind of reach once the defense attacked and kept getting pressure. So either way, great news. Stephon Gilmore's shoulder looks a lot better now. Today, that was yesterday. And today, the MRI was done, no significant damage, which is great news. But McCarthy was asked about how the situation is going when it comes to Stephon Gilmore. And he said, quote, yes, we did receive encouraging news. He definitely feels good about the opportunity to play on Sunday, but we will see how this week goes. But it was definitely better than we anticipated. And when he said, what do you mean it was better? He said the test results were better than we anticipated. And that's guys, knock on that fucking wood. Because that is one of the best things that could have happened for us right now for this game. McCarthy continued saying, quote, he definitely feels good about the opportunity on Sunday, and we'll just see how he does in practice. So, hey, practice? Yeah, practice is important here. Gilmore's MRI, again, no severe damage to the shoulder after a, quote, popped out. And then it was popped back in that game against the Commanders. So it looked like you said, maybe yesterday, dislocation.
Yeah.
But they want to see if any rotator cuff damage. None. So, guys, let's celebrate that. All right, that's another little mini celebration, right? Can't count all the chickens before they hatch, but that's a big one. That's a big chicken to count right there. Also, another big chicken. Not anything opposite of a chicken. He's everything opposite of a chicken. But Tyler Smith, now he didn't play this game. Tyler Smith with the foot injury, but according to McCarthy, Tyler Smith in his foot injury is, quote, feeling better. And the expectation he's going to return to practice this week, guys, on Wednesday, our first day of practice. He'll be back in practice. All right, but he'll probably be listed as a limited participant. So don't expect them to do too much. It's just going to be a quick little ramp up this week. Probably a lot of limited practices, and then Friday and the Saturday walkthrough probably be more full for that practice. That's the expectation. That's my view.
Okay.
McCarthy's expectation is that he'll be limited on Wednesday, and he's feeling better. That's according to McCarthy about Tyler Smith. So that means, and by the way, I gotta say something else too, because it wasn't just Mr. Mike McCarthy. Oh no, that was his whole spiel today. That's what he said. But Stephen Jones, yeah, we haven't heard from him in a while. He's been a lot of repeating of what Jera says. But when it comes to Stephen Jones, they also asked him about Tyler Smith. And he said that this is what Stephen Jones said, that this entire starting offensive line will be, quote, back in full force for this playoff matchup against the Packers. That's per Stephen Jones. So he's saying that implying that all 5 guys will be good to go for this game.
Which again,
all 5, including Zach Martin and his illness, right?
Yeah, which again, if you kind of see the way that things were trending today on the injury type of updates and things like that, I mean, hey, that's more or less where we're progressing towards, where we're headed, right? Like, we are actually on that path.
Yeah, so
which is crazy.
Great news. I'm knocking on wood too here,
Since we are, talking about some McCarthy adjacent stuff here, but shout out to McCarthy. He said it throughout the season, and especially, in the preseason and stuff, that he wants to make sure that he's keeping players healthy and physically able to hold up for an entire football season and more. And that's been a big focus for McCarthy. That's why we had some of these guys getting regular vet days and stuff. Guys, Tyron Smith played basically his first season, like his most complete season since like 2016 or some crazy thing like that. Even with the missed games from this year. Yeah, and
still
one of his healthier seasons.
We talked about Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, and all these. Remember, guys, Tyler Smith with the foot, Zach Martin with the illness, were sidelined in this last game against the Washington Commanders, and we still whipped up on them 38-10, as you can see. But basically, it's all hands on deck. All our guys look good to go for this game against Green Bay. That's major news right there. And you were talking about McCarthy. Remember, I never forget, because we pushed the story off a couple of weeks, but we eventually did it, and it was important, and it's showing now how important it is. I wish we could go back and just re-chop that up. But the information we had about the GPS systems that are running in their shoulder pads and in their padding, McCarthy uses it. A lot of teams use it, but McCarthy really stresses this, and he takes days off for guys if they're overdoing it in practice, or he makes them sit out a little bit if they're overdoing it in practice based off of these numbers that they check in every day. They pop it into their fucking shoulder pads, and then they go out there and do their football thing, come back.
How much football they've done, basically.
Yeah, it does all how they exert, and by position, it's different measurements, different baselines, by the position as well, because different positions exert more or exert less, and you could, maybe sometimes. And I say this as a players do, I'm saying, like a Micah Parsons compared to other guys out there, he may have to take an extra day off because of how much energy he uses on that field. Either way, it's been working to keep our guys healthy. It's been working to keep our guys, knocking on wood here, coming back sooner, and really doing a good job on McCarthy. Again, how many times I said this is like a pro-McCarthy stream, I feel like, because I've said it like 4 times on 4 different topics, that thanks to McCarthy, and good, this is a good thing McCarthy's doing, and man, maybe we should do anything to hope that, obviously we want to see this team go to the Super Bowl and win it, and they can hire him for 20 years for all I care, but a lot of people are like, can't wait to get him out of here, right? I mean, you can't deny he's doing some good shit. It's just the way it is. Just to say that would be a lie. So he's obviously done a lot of good shit for the Cowboys this year. Is it enough? Got to do good in the playoffs. That's where it has to pay off. All these things he's doing, keeping us healthy, it's got to pay off in the playoffs now. That's all. Anyways,
agreed.
That was Stephen Jones talking about that, saying all hands on deck for the offensive line. How is our team here doing? I'll get to that in a minute. But I know that Mr. McCarthy also spoke after the game yesterday. I mean, I know we spoke a little bit today about what he said.
Yeah.
Like this was everything he said. You heard us speak on was basically from today's press conference. So we're kind of going back in time because, of course, yes, there was a game that was played out there, and it was against the Washington Commanders, or like I like to call them, the Commies, I guess. But the point is, we went up against them this week, and that's what we're going to break down, that 38-10 score here. So Mike McCarthy spoke after the game. I think he had a couple little quotes.
We actually kind of touched on almost all of them. I'm trying to find the last one, just because the only other thing that he mentioned was in regards to Brandon Aubrey, and I actually specifically just saved that for after we hear about Brandon Aubrey himself. You know what I mean? So
we can move on then to the. I guess we'll.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm just saying we with everything we discussed, we actually touched on everything that he. All right, so Mike wanted is to off say. The board. The biggest number one thing was the injury update and the fact that people can make drama if they want out of the whole Green
Right.
Bay matchup thing, but
Right.
he's a Cowboy.
I thought he had some stuff about Washington. That's why I was confused. Anyways, either way, the actual game itself and the players in it, they spoke after the game. But I want to go through a couple quick notes here as we go per player here.
Yeah.
But you look at the number of guys on our offense yesterday that had basically an excellent grade on PFF or higher, which would mean a PFF grade above 70. CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott, Tyron Smith, Peyton Hendershot, and Brandon Cooks. And pretty much you're going to hear me speak about every single one of these guys individually. Hendershot's probably the only one I don't go into detail about, but he had that nice Ferguson jump there, that Fergie hop. So, he did a great job there. He blocked a punt as well. So he's on, he's in my notes, don't worry. But everybody got big grades for those reasons, and you'll see why. Now, on defense, every defensive player that got the same above average, excellent grade, which is above a 70 on PFF, these guys are Deron Bland, Donovan Wilson, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, Jordan Lewis, Sam Williams, Stephon Gilmore, Jonathan Hankins, Dorrance Armstrong, and Deshaun Wright as well. Had a good second half there.
Again, quite the list there.
Yeah, so a lot of guys did above average in this game. Of course, shitty guys, of course, against us in Washington. But they gave us a little fight there up until the end of the second quarter. Cowboys won by over 20, as you can see. This is the most wins. Well, let me put it this way: the most wins by 20 points or more in a season. Mm-hmm. Number one are the 2007 New England Patriots. They won their game. They won by 20 or more points in 10 games.
Damn.
The Rams did that in 9 games in 99. We did it also in 9 games. So we had 9 games that we won by 20 points or more this season. That is tied for second best of all time.
Again, it is hard to dominate the way that we have been, even against crappy teams.
Right.
I
know a lot of people say, my guy Mark here says, we play bad teams. But so did the Patriots and the Rams and the other teams that are on this list that I'm not even reading off the names, that all of them played hard teams. They couldn't do this. So, are we just, is this team, and I'm saying Dak and this offense, are they just a team that, are the best of the average? I don't know how to say this, because again, to me, it shows that we more than have the ability to be a Super Bowl type team every year. So we'll see what happens. But let's talk about Dak Prescott real quick and the rest of our offense, because we got a lot of kind of records here, and I'm gonna get into this here in a minute. But Dak Prescott was 31 for 36 yesterday for 279 yards and 4 touchdowns thrown, which was my bold prediction. One of my bold predictions: 4 touchdowns for Dak. That's what he did, all in the air. What about the rest of our team? What about the rest of our guys on our receiving side? CeeDee Lamb, 13 targets, 13 catches. Every pass thrown to him, he caught. 98 yards. They didn't get 100, but he had 98 yards and he had 2 touchdowns. All right, you got Brandon Cooks. He had 8 targets for 6 catches, 39 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, again, a better game than usual on the road for Brandon Cooks. Usually gets about 60 at home. And about 6 catches. This was about 40 yards and 6 catches. So a little less yardage, but still effective in this game. Got us that final passing touchdown to really end the game at 35-10. So that was his deal there for Brandon Cooks. And, of course, Dak dished the ball out to guys like Jake Ferguson. 6 targets, 6 catches. So he didn't miss anything on him either. Yeah. Ferguson had 69 yards receiving. Jalen Tolbert, 3 targets. Out of those 3, he caught 2 of them for 8 yards, and of course, touchdown. Important touchdown there. Rico Dowdle, 4 targets for him. He caught 3 of those 4 targets for 54 yards. He had that big 30-something yard run. Remember that one that he caught on the outside? So, again, very productive for him. Tony Pollard, only 2 targets, 2 catches, but 16 yards. That's 8 yards per. That's pretty good. Michael Gallup had 2 targets. 1 cost us an interception because it was tipped up in the air at the line of scrimmage, but 2 targets, no catches. So poor Michael Gallup, he's just phased out this team. Peyton Hendershot, 1 target, 1 catch, and he had that hop, that jump, that Zeke jump, that Ferguson jump. But it was a 24-yard play, so he had 1 catch for 24 yards. Jalen Brooks had 1 catch, 1 target, 1 catch, 1 yard. That was the one he just kind of fell forward. It was a low throw from Cooper Rush. Now, we also had some running backs here in the mix, right? I'll give you the quick numbers on them. Tony Pollard, 17 carries for 70 yards, and he also added a touchdown. Rico Dowdle had only 9 carries, but he had 46 yards on the ground. So that's the way our offense looked. Just overall, when you look at some records from this team, we currently have, this is the end of the season kind of records. Not records, but end of the season kind of leaders.
Yeah.
We have the NFL leader in passing touchdowns. It's Dak Prescott. NFL leader in receptions. The number one guy in receptions is CeeDee Lamb. The number one guy with interceptions this year with 9 is DaRon Bland. You know what I mean? Like, these are kind of impressive leading spots to be in. So, you have Micah Parsons, who's leading the NFL in pressures. Yeah. Micah's in the list too here. Don't forget Brandon Aubrey, who leads, he's the leader in field goals made this year. And then Brian Anger, who's the leader in punt average in the NFL. So, with Anger, Aubrey, you got, of course, Micah Parsons in the mix here, DaRon Bland, CeeDee Lamb.
Might be easier to say who isn't in the mix at this point.
CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. We got a lot of guys that are leaders of stats in this regular season, but I want to lead it with a fucking Super Bowl. You see my shirt? Sorry, Dak, you gotta get out. Want 6. That's what we want and beyond. But we want 6. That makes all the stats worth so much more. Now, Dak, this was his 11th career game with 4 or more passing touchdowns. That passes now officially Tony Romo for the franchise record for most 4 touchdown games. So congrats to Dak Prescott. I mean, he is one of our best quarterbacks we've ever had. One of the best quarterbacks on the Cowboys ever in history is Dak Prescott officially. I don't care what the haters say. I don't give a fuck who they played. He's not only top 4, I think he's our top 3 quarterback. One of the top 4, top 4, right? You'd say Aikman is in the mix. Of course, Roger Staubach. Then I think that's when you put in Dak Prescott. And then Romo. I think Danny White is rounds out in the top 5. Then with Don Meredith. But Dak Prescott, he's above them, and I think he's above Romo now. That's my thoughts on this. Just the way he plays. That way we get farther or not in the playoffs, that's called a team. It's not just on Dak. Anyways, but Dak has helped us, and sometimes he's had issues because of the play calling. So Dak Prescott, guys, 4 games in 2020. 4 games he had just in this season. That's just in our history. Career 4+ passing touchdowns, franchise record with the 11th one of those he's had. But he's had 4 games this year with at least 4 passing touchdowns. That's the most in the NFL as well. I mean, it's hard to get 11 4-touchdown games in your career. He's got 4 in one season. Now, without question in my mind, this was his best season he's ever had for Dak Prescott. At least statistically speaking. 69% completion percentage. 4,516 passing yards. 36 passing touchdowns leading the NFL. And only 9 interceptions with all those throws. Of course, 12-5 record. That's a team thing there. NFC East title. That's a team thing. Second seed. It's a team thing. But he made a serious case. Probably the first time in his career. This is the most serious case he's ever made for MVP of the league. And I believe, without question, he's silenced the haters, even if they don't want to. They'll never be silenced. But they've all went in their holes. They ain't gonna come out probably ever again. I'm sure if we lose, they'll come out. But it's just gonna be that, just blowing hot air. It ain't gonna hold any more weight as it did in the past when we saw Dak making routine mistakes. And he's definitely cleaned not everything up, of course, but a lot of that up. So best year for Dak Prescott without question. Again, is that because under Mike McCarthy? I mean, they only had 1 year together with him calling the plays. So imagine if he had 3 years with McCarthy or 4 years with McCarthy. I don't want to get mad, but imagine if we had that instead. Kellen Moore. Now, Dak again officially led the NFL in touchdown passes this year with 36. He leads. Listen, this is crazy, baby. Dak Prescott leads the NFL in touchdowns, right? Mm-hmm. And the person that leads the league in interceptions is DaRon Bland.
Yes.
Dak Prescott has thrown 9 interceptions this year total. That's it. And I think that quote that he made about not throwing 10, I think that was actually...
I think that was a fake quote.
Yeah, that's my point. A lot of people still treat it, like I see people in the media treating it as real. You kind of said it yesterday, it was real. I wanted to clarify.
Because I saw a real media person.
Yeah, they made a mistake. That was never said by Dak Prescott ever. He still did it. Again, people were laughing at that, even him saying it. He didn't say it, but he still did it. That's what's crazy. And so he had 9 interceptions thrown this year. That is it after throwing the most touchdowns in the NFL with 36. That ratio is insane. Oh, by the way, those 9 interceptions, you know how many Deron Bland has this season? 9 interceptions. It's just interesting. 9 is an interesting number for us. Maybe that's how many Super Bowls we'll win by the end of, a total of 9 Super Bowls by the end of the 20s, of the 2020s. I don't know. Either way, Deron Bland, 9 interceptions for the Cowboys. That leads the league. Dak Prescott with 9 interceptions thrown the entire season, which doesn't lead the league. There's a lot of other guys in double digits and picks. But my point is to throw this many touchdowns and this many passes for this many yards and have only 9 picks, that's pretty difficult to do. Especially when you're not just dinking and dunking here. You're attacking down the field this season. At least 3/4 of the season we attacked down the field. So big numbers there by Dak Prescott. One last thing before we hear from Dak Prescott himself, or I would say MCW, speaking for Dak Prescott in what he said. But Dak Prescott is the first quarterback in NFL history with 4 games in a season that he's had a completion percentage of 80 or higher. And I know you've talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I'm going to dive a little deeper. Guys, to have an 80% completion percentage in a game is fucking difficult. And to do it in 4 games, to do it in 4 games in one season, that is insane. Oh, speaking of insane, Mr. Skeptical Fan gifting a membership, and that's the man, Chuck the Montana 808 in the house, getting that Navy Blue Crew level membership there. Appreciate you, Skeptical Fan. With that drop, I got to put him on the board when it comes to the membership side of things. Yeah. And, of course, he's right behind Jason Renfro there on that side of things. Much love, Skeptical. Congrats, Montana. And let's drop those emojis if you got them. Tomorrow I'll have all the Green Bay ones. I hope there's enough. I was trying to take a look. There's not many, but I'll find something. And we'll get rolling with that. There's one at least I'm going to put up there. It's on the thumbnail. So, get ready to drop it like it's hot tomorrow when it comes to anti-Green Bay talk. But, baby, hit up a couple comments as I update the board.
So, kind of rolling back a little bit. Fuego saying now, if Aaron goes either right or left, he'll be stopped here and there after... Oh, sorry, let me roll back a little bit. Aaron Jones will be stopped by either Parsons or Lawrence up the middle. That's if we play correctly, rather than missing tackles or tackling each other. Then he added in there saying now, if Aaron either goes left or right, he'll be stopped here and there after a few good runs.
Well, I think the outside is where he'll be stopped by DeMarcus Lawrence, because he's an edge setter. I think that you have other guys like Armstrong and others that can do the other side of the edge. So can Micah, of course. But inside, we need Hankins to hold it up. And then the guys that make the tackles are usually the linebackers. And I actually have a couple of things. Marquise Bell doing great stopping the run this year, even with his size difference. And Damone Clark, who had a couple of bad games, bounced back the last couple. Had a great game yesterday, doing a great job covering the inside and hitting the edges on a fast. If you try to be beating us to the outside on the C gap, both these guys can hit the edge pretty fast. So there's backups to stop the run and run support all around this field. It's really, to me, it's about the interior. If we can hold it down with Hankins, I think we're sitting in a really good spot there to be able to slow down anyone's run game. Like anyone's run game to slow down with Hankins in the mix. It frees up our linebackers to be able to make those tackles and those plays against the running backs for minimal gain. And you saw that yesterday. We stopped Washington's running game and dead it into the ground there in the first couple of times they tried to run. So.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know you were gonna. Thought you were gonna say a little bit more there. All good.
I'm updating the board here for Mr. Skeptical Fan. Just give me a minute or two, baby. You got a question or two or a comment or two.
So, the Lunatic also throwing out there, as most analysts said this year, including the haters, Stephen A. Smith, Cowboys have the best quarterback in the NFC right now.
100%. I agree. I think he's the best. Although people say Brock Purdy, I guess you can make a case for him, but I do think that Dak is the best quarterback. I'd take him if I was you. Give me a list of the NFC guys and who did you want on your team as your quarterback. That's the guy I'm taking. No question, no diggity, no doubt. So Skeptical, by the way, with 1 gifted membership. Jason has 2, but with that drop right there, he went from 8th place. Was it 8th place to 6th for Skeptical Fan, and right behind Ready Red for 5th place in the top 5 there. So finishing up with Dak here, real quick. Again, 4 games in a season with a completion percentage of 80% completion or higher.
Again,
Dak's the first quarterback to ever do that in history. And again, let me just make sure he didn't just dink and dunk. He was attacking down the field. 4 touchdown passes in Cowboy history. Listen to this. For the Cowboys themselves, for our guys, and I told you the list. Yes, I told you a quick list, and I've mentioned this list before. But Dak Prescott in 114 games. 114 games for Dak Prescott. He got 11 games with 4 touchdowns or more. All right? He did that in only 114 games. Tony Romo did the same, did 10 of those. He got 10 games with 4 or more touchdowns. He did that in 156 games. So, I mean, he went like 40 more games before he got to 10 than Dak got to 11. When it comes to four touchdown passing games. So people say Romo's a gunslinger and he's this and that. He was. But Dak's done more 4 touchdown games than Tony Romo. More than any Cowboy in history. Danny White had only 8 in 160-something games. Don Meredith had 6 at 101 games. Aikman had only 3 4-touchdown games in 165. I mean, all these guys, except for Don Meredith, played more than Dak Prescott, game-wise. And Dak got these numbers, these 4 touchdown games. He beat them all. I mean, he beat Aikman's 3, Meredith's 6, Danny White's 8, and Romo's 10 in less time than any of these guys got to their own numbers. Again, outside of Meredith, but he was never going to get close with the 6 4-touchdown games. So, Dak Prescott, guys, I mean, historically for the Cowboys, he's our 3rd best quarterback. For those that want him out of here, you gotta be feeling like, yeah, if I take some drugs or something. Forget about the money he gets paid or the teams we played, because Aikman and Roger and all these guys, they all played easy games too sometimes. But no one's done this as a overall career. No one's done this better than Dak Prescott when wearing that star on their helmet at quarterback. So Dak Prescott gets his flowers, and he also gets to speak after the game. And he always takes the podium. What did he have to say, maybe after this win against Washington?
So first of all, if you notice very closely, Dak was not wearing his NFC East championship hat. He was kind of asked by Aaron Andrews, "Hey, like, why aren't you wearing it?" He said, "We want something bigger than that." I
love that. I don't want to see. I saw the whole team pictures, the coaches and the quarterbacks, the different group. I say team pictures. Position pictures, like the safeties and corners, the receivers, the tight ends, the linemen. They all had their shirts on, NFC East champs. They all had their hats on. I get Dak had his hat on for the picture,
Yeah.
But when he got to the locker room, he puts it in the bag. He's like, we got to get to the focus of what we're really doing here, and that's winning a Super Bowl. That's what I want to hear. So I'm glad he's not out there walking around all happy, smoking a cigar or something because we're NFC East champs. Who gives a fuck? I know it's important. We got it. That's the first step. It's a combo step. That with the bigger step, which is the 2nd seed. That's it. That's what's more important. 2nd seed hat. Where's the 2nd seed hat? I'm dancing to that. I'm not dancing to the NFC East as much. Because, and Dak's got the right mindset. It's about winning the fucking Super Bowl, not about NFC East champions. And we're celebrating. No. Hell no. I like this from Dak. Dak as a rookie might have been more celebratory. But he knows what the goal is.
So Dak had this to say as far as... Thomas Fairgood, thank you for subbing it up.
Yes, welcome to the family here at MCF. And as you know, we're in playoff time here. Go Cowboys!
Ooh, so, thank you so much, Sarah. But like I said, so Dak, as far as getting through the kind of earlier parts of the game, was a little bit rough there. He said, quote, "It shows the resiliency and the focus of this team. It was huge for us to do that, especially on the road." And then we went on to score 31 unanswered.
It's funny because you actually kind of said that. You're the one who said, this would be a good road thing. And we had to come back being down 14-10 on the road, right? Against an easier team. But we still had the resiliency on the road. We conquered that. Not just coming back. We've done that before. But coming back on the road, which has been a little bit harder for us.
So Dak also gave lots of credit there to Brock Hoffman for stepping in the way he did. Joking. Saying, that's BTB, big time Brock. So
listen, Brock. I have something on Brock. Brock Hoffman is, again, a guy I didn't like in the training camp, but he had that mean streak. He had that asshole attitude, which it almost seemed to go overboard. He was like the offensive side of Sam Williams. And guess who got in the fight in training camp? Brock Hoffman and Sam Williams. It was a couple guys, but those are the 2 main guys who got into it. They're very similar. They can become unhinged real quickly, but sometimes they can really be beneficial. And for Brock Hoffman, as a defensive player, got to be careful about how you hit someone, right? But if you're Brock Hoffman, offensive lineman, you could get an extra shove. You're blocking in the middle of block. You can hide that shit. He does shit like Dennis Rodman did shit. Just get under your skin enough. Just enough to make you get off your game and give you an extra put. That's what Brock Hoffman gives this team. I wish there was a way we could find him on this team sometimes. in some plays even against San Francisco as our sixth, lineman or something. I don't know, something to give us that asshole edge that he brings to the table. Brock Hoffman is a lot of people's new favorite offensive lineman there. So, hey, he did a great job. So did TJ Bass. And, I put out a whole video on TJ Bass when we picked him up as an undrafted rookie. Both these guys came up big. And I don't want to jump the gun, but I'll talk about them shortly.
So, speaking of, trying not to jump the gun, Dak was asked, how ready do you feel to take that next step in the playoffs? He said very.
Good. He should be. He should be.
So, and of course, also giving some love, to the peanut butter to his jelly. CeeDee Lamb, Dak said, quote, I don't think there's another quarterback and receiver that put in as much time as me and CeeDee have going back to the offseason. I think he's the best receiver in the game. I'm going to throw the ball to him in tight windows. I'm going to expect him to make one-on-one plays. He's a hell of a player. He makes my job a lot easier. This is really just the beginning. He's a young player, a special player, and we're only going to get better.
Yep. Agree across the board. And you got to love to see it.
Of course. So, outside of that as well, Dak Prescott, added in there, quote, you look at last year, the way that we came into this place and didn't finish the season the way we wanted to where we are now, the growth, the coaching staff, the players, the accountability, the communication, the transparency, and both sides of the ball holding their own, really. We have 3 great units going into this thing. We're fit all the way around. At this moment, at this time, it doesn't matter who we play, where we play them. We're excited for opportunities and one at a time.
No. Good description.
Thankful we get to do it at AT&T next weekend.
Damn right. That's the most important thing.
So, but
no,
I still have some more Dak.
Okay, yeah, Dak it up.
I'll promise I'll let you know when I'm done with Dak. But, like I said, McCarthy might not think much about this game against the Packers, but Dak Prescott sees it a little bit differently, considering his personal history, adding in their quote, as a rookie, I thought we were just going to go out and wipe the Packers off the field. That didn't happen.
That was 2016.
I know my emotions now are exciting. I know we have a team, 3 units, coaching staff, support staff that's equipped to play against anybody, anywhere.
The confidence is completely different, right? And the viewpoint, the reality is different. No delusion of rookie delusion, I love it. I love Dak's kind of metamorphosis, as it should be at 8 years in the career compared to rookie year, right?
Mm-hmm. So, that's actually it from Dak Prescott.
Yeah, so Dak put in his 2 cents there. And I just want to quickly, we'll get to everybody else in a minute. I know others spoke. I don't know if Tony Pollard spoke, but I did want to make a quick mention on Tony Pollard, a couple of things, some of the guys, and I'll leave Dak up because he's running the show here on offense, right? So Tony Pollard, he went over 1,000 rushing yards officially. I know you were talking about it yesterday. Yes, he officially went over 1,000 yards. He's the 6th running back in Cowboys team history to have consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, guys. He did it last year. Of course, this year he did it because of the extra game as well, but he did it last year. He did it this year. Over 1,000 yards. Congrats to Tony Pollard. He joins Calvin Hill, Tony Dorsett, Emmitt Smith, DeMarco Murray, and, of course, Ezekiel Elliott as the 6th running back to have back-to-back seasons with 1,000 yards or more. And since Week 9, Tony Pollard, he ranked 3rd. All right, since Week 9, again, we're picking this because it does give him his best numbers, but Cowboys actually started utilizing him a lot more at that point, So when you look at the way the Cowboys utilized Tony Pollard in the second half of the season since Week 9, Pollard ranked 3rd in PFF when it comes to rushing grade. So, when given the opportunity by the offensive line, he did well. So again, he was definitely a major piece of our of our offense, even if we still, of course, heavily lean on passing. So. Again,
take it easy, Stephen White. Much love.
Yeah, Stephen. Oh, skeptical. Good night, sir. I know he said good night a little earlier, so appreciate you, sir, and got you on the board. Got you rolling. Jason, by the way, with 39 points, still holding on there, hanging on to the stream boss. So Pollard, since Week 9, he ranks 3rd in PFF rushing grade. He ranks 5th in rushing yards after contact, and he ranks 3rd in missed tackles forced. So he was making guys miss. He was getting hit early. But he was, again, getting hit early, but still getting a lot of yards after contact, 5th most since Week 9. Basically, what I'm trying to say is Tony Pollard, is playing his best football when it matters most. It just happens to be the second half of the season, and I don't think it's just him playing his best ball. I think it's also the offensive line playing better. I think it's the coaching better, calling plays better, and picking the run plays better. And that does not go to McCarthy only. It goes also to Schottenheimer, who does a lot of the running.
Multi-factor thing.
Yeah, a lot of it goes through Schottenheimer when it comes to the running side of things. Mike Soliari, the offensive line coach. So those are the guys that have developed this offense to fit better for Pollard in the second half of the season, and it's working. That's a good sign there. Now, offensive line, which, guys, I mean, this is probably the most important part of every team. But Tyron Smith, my God, guys, what he did out there in the third quarter was a specific play at about 5 minutes left in the third quarter where he throws a defensive back. Granted, he's a defensive back, but one-handed fling of a defensive back across the field. Although, again, Tyron Smith was firing out of his stance probably quicker than we've seen in recent years. You know, he looked very explosive against Washington for 33 years old and coming off this, little rest week he had last week. So great job by Tyron Smith, looking very explosive, scary as fuck, and throwing defensive backs with one hand across the field. Now, what about the guys that missed the game? We talked about some of the injury. For example, when it comes to Tyler Smith, we know the situation with him is, torn plantar fascia, which you say, oh shit, he's out for the year. No, you can play with this, but the Cowboys rested him last week, and of course Zach Martin was off for this game he was unable to play because he was basically got sick with an illness. We don't know if it was a flu or what it was, but it's been going around this team for a month. So hopefully it's out of this team. But right now, Biadasz was just getting in. Other guys on the offensive line, Zach Martin misses his game because of getting sick right before the game. So with that said, Tyler Smith, who missed it with the injury, and Zach Martin, who missed it were ruled out with the illness against the Commanders, we had to have two guys come in there and step up at guard. Two guys at each guard spot. And my goodness, I'm going to give big time credit here to TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman. All right? First off, TJ Bass had a whole week. All right? He had a whole week to prepare. You had brought this up, that Bass is going to have, getting thrown into the mix there at the last second last week. He still did okay, but he could have done better. This week he had all this practice. You said this.
Yep.
But Brock Hoffman,
he got thrown in there last
he got the TJ Bass treatment this week, right? Last minute, and then Hoffman's starting, right guard for the Cowboys without any practice this week there. And
hey, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready, and
both,
clearly Hoffman did.
Both these guys did fucking fantastic. And I'm saying that fantastic as in, the expectations. All right? Dak Prescott was pressured only on 16.7 of his passing snaps. He was never sacked. And again, we even got to run the ball pretty well in this game, all right, with our backups on the interior offensive line. We had the running game had a total of over 100 yards rushing. When you added everybody up, I talked about, Rico Dowdle, Tony Pollard. When you add up all these guys' rushing yardage, we got over 100 yards rushing, which is not a thing we usually do. And we were still missing our offensive linemen inside our guards, left and right guard. So that right there tells me, and that was against the Washington strength, because Deron Payne was in there. And it brings me also to another guy you guys might like here, like Hunter Lipke in the mix. Let me explain for a second. First off, when you look at the first glances at this game, when you look at TJ Bass and what Brock Hoffman did, they had some push up front. They worked the second level of blocking against linebackers pretty well. Like they were doing this for years. It was really interesting, guys. Well coached by Soliari. I think you got to give him some credit there. And they played a beautiful game together. Again, it wasn't easy for them. Let me stress this. It was not like it was like easy pushing. It wasn't like Tyron Smith out there doing his thing, throwing guys around one hand. But they more than held their own. Ryan Brodus also said this. There was one on that. Remember that tipped interception that I talked about? I said, why was it tipped? Because the guy was in Dak's face. TJ Bass was being held by the right edge, by the right edge rusher on the Commanders. He held Bass's arm, pulled him off the block, and fell backwards while his player got into Dak's face, tipped the ball, and then that's where it was a pick from Gallup. That shit was really a defensive penalty. It should have been. The point is, you cannot put that on TJ Bass. So he had, other than that was maybe the biggest glaring issue between both those guys, and it wasn't even TJ Bass's fault. So to me, guys, they both worked well with center Tyler Biadasz. Because that's another factor there, too. Biadasz was just getting off his sickness. Minimal practice this week as well for Biadasz. So, anyways, the point here is that both these guys did incredible, whether it was TJ Bass with a week of practice with the starters, and again, that's the starter without, that was probably Brock Hoffman at center. Because Tyler Biadasz missed the last 2 days of practice. So you got, TJ Bass kind of getting a full week of practice with the starters. You're getting, Biadasz with like a couple of days of practice in general because he got sick. And then you have the man thrown into the fire there, Brock Hoffman, just thrown into the mix at the last second, playing that right guard for Zach Martin. And they all working in tandem very nicely. So I'm very happy to have Tyler Smith coming back. But guys, whenever we have a season, we can feel good about some of these young offensive linemen that we usually draft and they blow chunks when they're drafted in the second, third, fourth rounds. First rounders are gold, but we got an undrafted here in TJ Bass, and we got an undrafted in Brock Hoffman that played pretty well against, again, a good Deron Bland, and then I would say overall a weak defense though in general, right? But either way, you saw John Ridgway, former Cowboy, in there. Right? Mm-hmm. He went up a lot. He went up a lot against TJ Bass. And TJ Bass just rocked him. So our undrafted offensive lineman TJ Bass, dominated John Ridgway, the guy we drafted. Everyone was really pissed that we gave him away to Washington. He had to start this game, Ridgway. And he just blew him out the water. TJ Bass had a great game multiple times throughout this contest against Washington against John Ridgway. So he created a lot of movement, TJ Bass, on double teams and combo blocks when he was with Biadasz and also when he was with Tyron Smith. So this guy right here, I would say, is our first guy up when it comes to our backups inside. Chuma Edoga lost that. He's barely on the outside right now. But our guy right now you want to see inside is TJ Bass is our number one backup interior. And again, Brock Hoffman plays center as well, so he can play center, and as we just saw, he could play guard pretty well too with that asshole attitude. So to me, when you add those two guys as backups, and then you throw in there Hunter Lipke, who's our starting fullback, right? I think on that, was it a goal line play? No, it was in the first quarter. It wasn't the goal line, but it was the first quarter with about 8 minutes left in the quarter. It was early in the game. And TJ Bass and Hunter Lipke, as he came in there as a fullback, took Deron Payne and took him out like 7 yards down the field. That's pretty fucking impressive when it comes to these young guys really moving these superstar players that the few superstar players they had. The main guy was Deron Payne, and he was getting pushed around by Ridgway was getting pushed around by him, but. There was a couple plays where, you see TJ Bass holding his own, and when he's getting these blocks with fullback blocking from Lipke, they're moving around Deron Payne. That's pretty impressive. That's a good sign right there, guys. When you look, I'm going to finish. I'm sorry. I know I'm gushing about these offensive linemen and the backup and the depth and all that stuff, but the reality here is...
Yes, guys, no, all the Eagle fans are,
they're in hiding.
Disappeared.
Yeah, they're all hiding. I wouldn't worry about those fans for a while. I worry about our team. You know what I mean? TJ Bass, who played in there for number 73, Tyler Smith. This year, listen to this, 344 snaps in the regular season. He's given up 1 quarterback sack. He's given up 0 hits on the quarterback. He's given up 6 pressures. And he has only 1 penalty against him.
I mean, that's fantastic.
When you look at 344 snaps, you divide that by, let's say 60 snaps, 70 snaps a game. I mean, shit, guys, that's like 4 or 5 games of... That's not like 1 game with TJ Bass. That's 5 games with TJ Bass. And then you look at Brock Hoffman, who, again, let me reiterate, number 67 is an asshole attitude out there in the very best way you can be an asshole as an offensive lineman, right? He always seems upset, pissed off about something or someone, which is the attitude you want to have on the offensive line. Brock Hoffman, in the season now, because he did have to come in there and play some games this year, he played 222 snaps, which is more than I thought. In the regular season, he gave up 0 quarterback sacks. He gave up 0 quarterback hits. He did allow 5 pressures, and he did have 3 penalties. Still, as a backup, undrafted, both these guys, incredible numbers. I mean, what do you think, baby?
I mean, absolutely. So, by the way, Mike Aldana said we need that mean streak on the O-line.
Yeah, that's part of the big plus of Brock Hoffman, for sure.
So, I wanted to try to hit up the chat a little bit here with some relevant comments.
If there's any offensive line stuff, let me hear it. I want to know what you think about it. I mean, I think that we feel a little bit better now. If there's any hiccups in the game or something like this, that one of these two guys that can step up a guard for specifically TJ Bass, but Brock Hoffman can do guard and center.
I mean, it's also a big difference from even just a year ago where, our...
Matt Farniok.
Oh, man.
And he was a 7th rounder. These two guys are undrafted. Basically, they're all undrafted if you look at that.
I know, but just, again, it's kind of weird because this is the same offensive line coaching that gave us aluminum foil, too. So...
What do you mean?
As far as like Terrence Steele not doing so great, and obviously you can maybe say that that's a little bit more injury related.
I think that's more Terrence Steele than a coaching.
It's just so funny that in a year where the one guy we were kind of hoping, as far as like on the coaching side of things, might be making some progress there. Instead, we see the progress from some of our younger undrafted guys.
It's great.
So,
it's great. That's more our coaching, I think, and Soliari. Developing these guys. I mean,
give credit to all the coaching.
No, of course, but they're the ones really working with them. While I think also you got to give credit to Will McClay.
Yes,
Will McClay and Chris Hall, they always do the undrafted on their own. They don't need any verification from Jerry Jones. They get their guys, and how come their guys always work out so well? That's why I'm telling you, they're ready. Some GMs are getting invited right now for interviews and stuff. Will McClay, he's going to get sought after again, and he deservedly so. I mean, I think Jerry Jones always have the money to keep him in Dallas, But this guy, Will McClay and Chris Hall, really do a great job in bringing in undrafted players. I mean, right now we got Marquise Bell, a safety undrafted, starting at linebacker. I mean, That's a Will McClay find right there, a Chris Hall find. I'm just being real, guys. I'm being real.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just saying, let's keep it rolling.
So, moving over to wide receiver. I know CeeDee Lamb spoke today, but at wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, again, you got to remember, in this game against Washington, he scored a touchdown. He scored 2 touchdowns in this game. But the more important factor, and you said this yesterday during the game, that he scored a touchdown in 9 consecutive games now. That is the longest active streak in the National Football League. He's just the 3rd NFL receiver since the year 2000 with a 9-game touchdown, receiver getting 9-game touchdown streak. The only others, A.J. Green in 2012 and Randy Moss, the great Randy Moss in 2003 and 4. What I'm trying to say is those 2 times, those 2 players are the only ones that did this, something that CeeDee Lamb has also officially now done.
Yes.
CeeDee Lamb, I think he had 13 receptions, but when he hit the 11th reception in the game yesterday, that was his 7th game with double-digit receptions this season. That's the most in a season in Cowboy team history. And it's tied in the NFL with Andre Johnson in 2008, Wes Welker in 2009 for the 2nd most such games in NFL history, guys. Michael Thomas with 9 has the most. CeeDee Lamb is breaking Cowboy records and NFL records, just shattering these things or getting up in the top 2 or 3 in history of receivers. CeeDee Lamb caught his 131st pass of the season. That is, again, CeeDee Lamb is the 6th player in NFL history, not in the Cowboys. He's just the 6th player to have at least 130 receptions in a football season. Now, again, I know we got 17 weeks now, but still, other guys are playing. They're not hitting these marks. 130 when he hit that 131st pass, 6th player in history to get that. He joins Michael Thomas in 2019, Cooper Kupp in 2021, Marvin Harrison in 2002, Antonio Brown in 2015, and Julio Jones in 2015. So a very short list, a rare list there. When it comes to the amount of catches you can get in a season, he got 131. Or over 131. 130 is the point there. So anyways, players in NFL history to have a season of at least 125 or more catches, and also 10 or more touchdowns in a season. 10 or more touchdown catches, not runs. CeeDee Lamb this year did it. Cooper Kupp did it in 2021. Antonio Brown did it twice. He did it in 2014 and 2015. And Marvin Harrison did it in 2002. So, I mean, once again, rare air here for CeeDee Lamb. When you look at this year's statistics this season, he ranks 1st in touchdowns, 1st in scrimmage yards, 1st in receptions, 1st in touches, That also means, handoffs and things like this. You also got him first in targets in the NFL. We really went at CD hard this year as our number one guy. This proves why. He's the number one guy. Listen, he had 130-something plus catches. He had 12 receiving touchdowns, I think. 12 receiving touchdowns, 36 catches, getting 15 or more yards. That's number one in the NFL. He also finished the season as PFF's third highest graded wide receiver. Again, and by the way, third graded against in the NFL as receiver and by the PFF numbers, but he was number one against man coverage. In man coverage, he's the best receiver in the league. He finished second in total yards after catch. He finished fifth in yards per route run. He finished fifth in missed tackles forced. So he cut that ball, he broke it and kept going. Also second in the league in first downs, which is obviously a very important fact, right? A very important stat. When you get the ball in his hands on those first downs, he's getting them for you. He's also third in touchdowns among all wide receivers. So, final thing about CeeDee Lamb before you hear what he said after the game, I think, is the fact that he currently, in his career, 5,105 yards. I mean, he's broken the 5,000 yard mark. He has over 5,100 yards. Passing now officially Torrey Holt, who had 5,088, for the fourth most receiving yards in an NFL player's first 4 seasons of being in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb only trails 3 guys. Justin Jefferson, he had in his first 4 years, he had 5,899 yards. Michael Thomas, 5,512, and Randy Moss, 5,396. Again, fantastic numbers against some of the best in history. CeeDee Lamb is that. He is him. And what did him say? What did he have to say, baby, in CeeDee Lamb after the game?
We're always confident in our team and our ability. We know what we put out there. Everybody in the NFL knows what kind of team we are. We just got to go out there and show it.
Huh? They're doing it right now with CD, for sure.
So that was actually his only post-game call. Again, yeah, we heard from a lot of players. But Dak had the most to say after yesterday's game. Everyone else has had kind of a little point or two.
I'll keep it rolling.
Sorry to disappoint you there.
I'm very disappointed. We'll keep rolling, I guess. Brandon Cooks, second best receiver in the NFC East? I think so. I mean, people say A.J. Brown, obviously, but I'm saying he's probably the best number 2 receiver in the East. Brandon Cooks' final 3 games of the season, he had 13 catches, 113 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Again, not as a number 1 receiver, as a number 2. He's in there, and he's providing basically an average of a touchdown a game. He's averaging, 4 or 5 catches a game at least. And, he's averaging 40, 50 yards a game. That's what you want to get from your number 2. You want to be able to just get enough. Of course, we'd like to get more, but guys, we just talked about what CeeDee Lamb has been giving us. So this is pretty good for a number 2 that's on the same team with the number 1 receiver in the league, basically. And then you got Jalen Tolbert also. Got to bring up a quick mention on him. You gotta give him praise for his run blocking, but also just his overall play as a receiver on the field this year. I mean, to me, he's better. He had a better year than Michael Gallup in the regular season. And he faced all the fucking bullshit, all the criticism, and we criticized him. I kept saying, let's give him another year before we say he's a bust as a rookie. But he's not a bust as a player. I say the same thing about all these guys this year that seem like busts for our draft. So I say, you know what? Let's see how Tolbert does. Tolbert, with all the haters in his face and all that shit from 2022 as a rookie, grew into his own this year. And again, in 2022, he only played in 8 games. 8 games. And he had 2 catches in those 8 games for 12 yards. That was Jalen Tolbert's stat line in his rookie year. This year, in 2023, Jalen Tolbert played in 17 games. He had 22 catches, and he had 268 yards, along with 2 touchdowns. One of them just happened in this game here against Washington. So, again, he's developing as a core special teams player as well. So, Jalen Tolbert, I believe, deserves a lot of praise for the way he's played this year and a real big turnaround. Okay, as third round pick, entering his third year next year, I think you can expect him to be our number 3 receiver on this team with Brandon Cooks and, of course, CeeDee Lamb being our number 1. So I don't know what happens to Gallup. I think we move on from it if his contract allows. There's no reason to keep here. Again, like I said, why did we sign him when we did sign him? I had a problem with that, just like I kind of have an issue a little bit with Terrence Steele. But Michael Gallup, unfortunately, it's costing us $11 million a year to the Cowboy team. Imagine we could have done with that. Right, and we could have had still Tolbert here working into his third, as the third receiver, really finding his way here as a third receiver. Next year he'll be ready to go. I'm excited to see how he'll do next year. But hey, we still got this year to go and the playoffs, and he'll be utilized in these playoffs for that. And don't forget, he's also a fantastic run blocker. So, you'll see him like yesterday. We used him as almost as a decoy. Move them to the line of scrimmage in motion. Everyone thought we're going to run the ball. Goes out for the pass. Great pass by Dak. Touchdown. And that's the way that goes. So got to give credit to our receivers on that side of things. The last position I want to give credit to, and I don't know who spoke on offense, but Jake Ferguson. Got to give a shout out to Jake Ferguson, guys. Fergie with the first down, right? I mean, he finished tied for 6th in yards after catch. Again, these are all for tight ends. He finished tied for 6th in yards after catch. He tied for 2nd in missed tackles forced. That's how athletic he is. He makes you miss. So he's 2nd best in missed tackles forced. He's 4th in yards after contact. And he's 8th in when it comes to the PFF receiving grade for tight ends. 8th in that among all tight ends this year. When you look at Jake Ferguson, and again, what was it? Kittle? Was it George Kittle said he's one of the next ones coming up? He believes it was Pitts, Kittle, and then the Barrington or something from the Giants who had a bad year. But Ferguson, he had 96 targets this season. The 2nd most targets to a past, to a past Cowboy right now in the last 10 years. So for the Cowboys, we haven't thrown to even Dalton Schultz as much as we threw to Jake Ferguson, it seems. 71 catches for Jake Ferguson. That's the 2nd most receptions by a Cowboys tight end in the last 10 years. So again, beating the numbers from Witten at the end of his career, beating those Dalton Schultz numbers, who had some nice numbers as well, comparable to Witten. No, Ferguson's better than all those guys. All right, 761 yards for Ferguson this year. All right, 2nd most receiving yards by a Cowboy tight end in the last 10 seasons. So unbelievable numbers there from Ferguson. Also, his 5 touchdowns at tight end. 2nd most by touchdowns by a Cowboy tight end in the last 10 seasons. I'm assuming Schultz was the guy, maybe Witten, I don't know. But, guys, 5 touchdowns, 761 receiving yards, 71 receptions, targeted 96 times. 1st or 2nd across the board in all those numbers in the last 10 years when it comes to tight ends. We got our starting tight end, and it's not Luke Schoonmaker. And I said this at the beginning of the year. That's why we were all scratching our heads about Schoonmaker. We got Jake Ferguson. He showed something last year. He showed a lot more this year. So I don't know if there's any other offensive comments maybe from the offensive. Any comments from the offensive side of the ball?
Not post-game offensive comments.
Well, that's it. That should be it, right? Or do we have anything more post-game or anytime?
We do have some other post-game comments here. Micah Parsons had a little, I think that's the thing. I think we're not on the same page here because again, post game or not, it's offense. I want to get all of it out the way, but I guess we'll revisit that for the coaches later, right? I mean, so
I'd rather do the coaches if we can. Yeah.
Well, what do you want to do?
Let's do the coaches. Let's finish the offense for sure, baby. Let's do that.
Even if they spoke today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's no difference. That sounds good. Let's do the offense here, which is kind of like what I want to kind of move on from the offense. We'll get to the defense next, and then I got a little bit of special teams that I'm sure you do. But I know we had coaches speak today. I know we had offensive players.
Speaking today. Yeah.
Speaking of, perfect timing. I just spoke about Ferguson. Yeah. Perfect timing.
He actually spoke quite a bit today.
Good.
Throwing in there the meaning for him personally to face off against the Packers and McCarthy, saying, I'm sure it does mean a lot, even though I hated them growing up. Going against the Packers means everything to me.
He lived up there, right?
Yeah, he grew up in Wisconsin, saying that he hated the Packers. He got a lot of crap for hating them, obviously. But he just, I don't know, he never liked them, he said.
Cheesy.
And as far as growing up in Wisconsin and how that shaped him as a football player, he said, when I need to gain weight, I eat a lot of cheese. Wisconsin shaped me with the weather and how to play in cold games. I still never wear sleeves. In Wisconsin, they also teach you how to love the run game.
So, again, blocking, catching, athletic. He's out there doing things, getting yards after catch, getting yards after contact. Ferguson's the man there when it comes to tight end. And second year, right? He's not the best in the league, but he'll be getting better every year. Yeah. Watch.
So, he also threw in there a little bit more about his role on the offense specifically, saying, quote, "I always try to catch everything that comes my way, but at the same time, I take pride in protecting number 4. There was one across the middle in the Commanders game that I bobbled a little bit, and the first thing that crossed my mind was, don't let this hit the ground. Don't let the defender touch it. I'm doing everything in my power to take care of number 4. He's our leader, and he throws the ball and it touches my hands. It's my job to catch it."
That's the rule.
That's just what goes through my mind every single.
Every receiver, tight end, anybody who catches the ball in Pee Wee, Pop Warner, they all told the same thing. It hits your hands, you got to catch it. So, even though we know passes could be better, right? But
so he also spoke a little bit about some of the preparation things that the coaches do to help him get ready. He said, "Coach Wells and I go through the drills that we do, whether it's walkthrough when we're on the sideline, when I'm not in, or walkthrough days when I'm working on tough catches and wet ball drills, one-handed catches, low balls, catches that are behind me when I'm at full stride. Those are the things that when the things happen in the game or if I'm a little bit off on a route, I'm able to make that play. It comes down to the small details, the repetition, and putting in the work."
I just keep thinking about the way that, for cold weather games, he's putting the extra work in there with the ice-cold football, dipping them in ice-cold water and trying to catch them and handle them. I'm saying you got to get used to that when you're going to be in the rain or you're going to be in inclement cold weather. Although now, we don't have to worry about it as much. We know we got climate control at AT&T Stadium, so we're good to go there.
So, obviously our offense changed quite a bit. After week 5, we had our bye week. We made a hard pivot. Ferguson was kind of asked, has McCarthy, solidified himself as a great offensive play caller? Ferguson said 100%, 100%. It's one of those things where you kind of have an idea what he's going to call, and sometimes there's a play that's a little bit further down the call sheet in that scenario. And he does end up calling it, and then the whole huddle gets fired up like, okay, we know what Coach McCarthy's on today. It not only gets you fired up, but this could be a tone setter for the team. That's something that just drives and fires us up.
Awesome. Again, we kind of see a little behind the curtains, behind the scenes there.
So, but that was it from Ferguson himself.
Now, I don't know if you have any more offense at all. I think we had offensive coach speak, if I'm not mistaken. At least I don't know if you got anything from Schottenheimer.
Just the one little comment as far on Brock Hoffman.
Okay, yeah, on our offensive line, perfect. I'm sure. Listen, guys, I'm sure we'll hear more from our coaches in the near future. So get ready for that in the next couple of days as we get ready for a very important game against the Packers here in the playoffs. But offensive coordinator, not the play caller, offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer did say something about Brock Hoffman, offensive lineman. What did he have to say?
He said Brock is truly going to be one of those guys that's always ready. And yeah, I think it's pretty evident by the way that he played today that he definitely
the way he played yesterday. Yes, he did give you that. He gave you that extra oomph, the anger, the glass eating asshole that we need in there on that team, on that field, on our offensive line. So now, does that take care of the offense completely?
Yes, it does.
Let me get to the defense here real quick, baby. And just hit up a couple quick little factors. I know Micah spoke a lot, so let me hit up on Micah first here. And really, the defensive line, the defense in general, because whether it was DeMarcus Lawrence, for example, all right, on our defensive line, DeMarcus Lawrence, that's Zach Martin, not DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence, guys, he had a pass breakup on a 2nd and 10. He also pressured the quarterback, Sam Howell, multiple times, by the way, the one that led to the Donovan Wilson interception was because of DeMarcus Lawrence, who he hit him while he was throwing the ball, and the ball kind of did not get its full oomph. Easy pick for DeMarcus. Well, it made it harder than it should have been, but Donovan Wilson got that pick. Again, great job by our defensive front. Not just the stars, not just the DeMarcus Lawrences, but Dante Fowler, number 56, had a great game yesterday. He recorded the 5th highest pass rush productivity rating among all edges yesterday. Also had a sack as well. And guys, let's not forget about the guy who really you never see his stats anywhere, right? when it comes to Jonathan Hankins. But he was in that game yesterday, and he made, again, you see the run stop was eminent. It was, everyone could see they could not run on us. It was good. It was great to see Big Jonathan Hankins there starting in the lineup. The run defense in general, I'm not even saying he's making the plays here. He's just stopping the linemen from going to other guys to block them. Jonathan Hankins, when he's in that game, the defense, the run defensive side of things, it functions. The run defense functions incredibly so much better when number 95 is in the middle of our defense on that field. Doesn't get the numbers, doesn't have stats, no stats, who cares? But it's his strength and how stout he is at the point of attack. When that ball is snapped, he's right there. That is what makes a difference between him and Mozzie Smith, let's say. Mozzie Smith don't even get there in time. He's so slow. Offensive players already ready to go. He doesn't let the offensive players cannot get good blocking on him consistently because of the way he attacks inside, over center, at the point of attack. So, again, he's somebody who understands how to maintain gap integrity, and it makes it easier for guys like Damone Clark and Marquise Bell to make those tackles at linebacker. You know what he does, baby? Damone Clark in his final 4 games, and again, I got to say, Damone Clark got better in his last couple of games, but there was no Hankins in there for these 3 out of the 4. Damone Clark, in his last 4 games, just to see how he's doing more recently, he's gotten a little better the last couple of weeks. He had 20 solo tackles, 5 assisted tackles, 8 tackles for loss, which is major there in 4 games. That's 2 a game. He got 2 quarterback pressures, 1 quarterback hit, and 1 quarterback hurry. And a lot of good, solid tackling from him. I'd say after that, at that Buffalo game, he had a real bad game with those missed tackles, him and a lot of our guys. But Wanya Thomas had a horrible game that game. But ever since that game, he's been stellar, much better. So big shout-outs to Damone Clark. And that's without Hankins. Big shout-out. You can see how much better Damone Clark is and Marquise Bell are when Hankins is in the game. You don't want to. You got to keep seeing that happen. That is major. And like I said, when it came to, what did I say here? That hit that we had from DeMarcus Lawrence. In that pressure he gave to Sam Howell, which caused the interception to Donovan Wilson. Let me talk about Donovan Wilson for a quick second. Donovan Wilson's interception was his second in 2 games. Back-to-back games, Donovan Wilson had a pick. So he's coming on as late here.
Say nice to stop at a nice little kind of cherry on top to finish the regular season.
Yeah, but he wasn't happy. Again, we've talked about him. You've talked about him. Others that he's not. Number 6 has not been having a great season. So again, Donovan Wilson is the first Cowboy safety to have an interception in consecutive games and back-to-back games within the same season, all the way back since old Xavier Woods in 2019 when he didn't give 100%. Remember? So Donovan Wilson had a slow start. To start off the season, but he definitely has been finishing the season a lot better. Wouldn't you agree? He's definitely seemed to have improved at the end of the season this year. I don't know, you didn't hear me, I guess. But again, he has posted the best 2 PFF grades, not just of the season for himself, of his career, of his 5-year career. The best numbers he's put up, analytically speaking, in the last 2 games back-to-back. Of course, he had 2 picks, but again, they were both at an 89 plus. 80, guys, 90 is elite. Is an elite game you had.
It's basically knocking on the door of elite.
It's 89 or better. So one of them were in 90s is what I'm trying to say. He had 2 games back-to-back that were in the 90 percentiles, basically elite percentiles. So that's the way to finish up the season. When you're someone like Donovan Wilson, he benefited. He's a big run-stop player for us. He's in coverage, but he's a run support guy. He, like I said here, whether it was Hankins or making the run stops, but also DeMarcus Lawrence tipping the ball with the pressure caused the Donovan Wilson interception. So that to me has been, this defense is, even though they still have some weaknesses, still let them drive down the field and let them bend a little bit too much than I'd like. Man, we definitely break it off their heads here when we get those turnovers and we get guys in position to make plays. The guy who does that best, Dan Quinn, puts these guys in position to do that stuff. And finally, I got 2 guys to speak on. Maybe who spoke in the defense? Was it? I know it was Micah, but who else had spoken?
We got to hear from Jaron Kearse today.
Oh well, then let's hear from Jaron Kearse right now in that situation, because I just talked about the safeties. Kearse is gonna. It also helps with, with the run support of course, helps in coverage. J-Ron Curse was all over the field yesterday. So what did he say?
I'm going to read Micah's one comment, though, first. Just so he said one thing.
Okay. I would have said that for last, but okay, that's fine. Let me throw up Micah on here real quick. Let's set up Micah. Go ahead. I got a whole stuff with Micah still.
He said, the regular season is cute, but this is legacy. There's always the term of be phenomenal or be forgotten. The way that, Jimmy Johnson, Irving, Emmitt Smith, Aikman, Haley performed in the 90s, that's where me, CD, Dak, we all want to be. Have that legacy and earn our way into that type of Cowboys Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's got that. Again, just make sure you take it personal, Micah, when you play against these teams. But he understands a little more of the history now, I think, of our Cowboy bests and how this team, kind of stacks up with the best of the best. Now, since you mentioned Micah, I'll speak on Micah then. He did record his 14th sack of the season. That is a career best for him in 3 years. This is the most he's ever had in 1 year.
Good for him.
Always double digits, always doing great. I mean, the pressure is great. He's the 5th NFL player since 1982, since they started keeping track of sacks. The 5th player in the NFL in history with at least 40 career sacks in his first 3 NFL seasons. He joins Reggie White, who had 52 at this point, Derek Thomas, who had 43, Alden Smith, who had 42, and Dwight Freeney, who also had 40 with him. Again, he ties for 4th, I guess you can say here, but he's basically the 5th player to ever do this, with getting 40 career sacks after 3 seasons. Incredible. That's why one of the many reasons why he should be defensive player of the year. So Micah also finished with 103 pass rushing pressures on the quarterback. That is number 1 in the NFL. No other guy got more pressure on quarterbacks in the NFL, and this man was held for most of it. Just an example. I always like to throw this up here. Why not? This is the one game against the Commanders during Thanksgiving. He was held 4 times and smacked to the face once, which comes right now. These 4 penalties were not called. None of them. I think the last time someone was called for a holding, I don't know if he was called for this game for against them. I think there was one play they might have called holding, against the offensive lineman blocking Micah. But if it wasn't, it's probably like at 48 right now, 46 games without a holding call against his opposition when they're obviously holding him. So point is here, Micah finished at 103 pressures. All right, let me do this here. Give me a second here. Let me see all the mistakes that these refs miss on Micah. It's embarrassing. They should be embarrassed. But we're not embarrassed of Micah. This was last year in the playoffs. You see other great plays by Micah throughout his career. Micah Parsons finished this year with 103 pressures, 24.1 pass rush win rate, which was second best in the NFL, and a 12.6 pass rush productivity rating. This is one of the best seasons from any Cowboy pass rusher ever in our Cowboy history. And if you look at, when it comes to the pass rush win rate, which again, he was second. The only guy that came in front of him was Myles Garrett. When you look at the pass rush win rate on true pass rushing sets, Garrett was at 35.1%. Micah Parsons finished second in that specific category at 30.7%. So, Micah had more sacks than Garrett, than Myles Garrett. But Myles Garrett had like 5% better pass rush win rate, than Micah. I think it's between those two guys to take the crown. Although, TJ Watt also got 19 sacks, right? So a lot of things to balance there for the defensive player of the year. Now, that was all Micah said. Mm-hmm. I went to DeMarcus Lawrence already, and you're going to talk about Curse. I might as well finish up with DaRon Bland and some of the stuff that went down with him, because when you look at DaRon Bland, you know what? Go with Curse first. I'll make sure I'll get DaRon Bland ready here in a minute. But go ahead. What did Curse say? And that was today, I think, right? Really about this upcoming game against the Packers. A lot of it too. Exactly. For McCarthy coming up. So what do you say?
He threw in there, we're definitely hitting our stride at the right time. You want to be playing your best ball when you get to that dance, and these past 2 weeks we've been hitting our stride. In order to keep that up, guys, just keep doing what they're doing. I don't think anybody went in and did anything different. We got back to the basics and it worked.
Yep. So that's what worked in the last couple of weeks. Detroit, we snuck out with a lucky win. We decimated the fucking Washington Commanders yesterday, as you can see, 38-10. What else did he say, baby?
So He threw out there and also said, what gives me hope is I know what we can do on our side of the ball with the guys we have. But we have 4 and 88, as in Dak and CD, respectively, right? Saying, quote, there's enough hope for me when they're playing the way they're playing. I believe that's the best quarterback-receiver duo in the league.
Can't deny that.
The numbers say so as well.
I agree with him.
As long as we do our part on defense, I know these guys will continue to cook. So
keep it cooking. I agree.
Chris already threw out there, also as well. We're definitely already on Green Bay. There was a lot of excitement on the plane. We are going to enjoy it on our way back to Dallas. But now that we're back in the building, it's all Green Bay.
Yeah,
this is a work week now.
That's what I like to hear.
So, honestly, it sounds like the Cowboys got right to business.
Yeah.
All things considered, if they did that. By the way, Mike McCarthy, kind of said it before, like he was trying to downplay the kind of whole, Green Bay connection or whatever, but Kurtz was asked about it today. He said, quote, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of emotions with Coach McCarthy, and rightfully so, being he's been there, he's won a Super Bowl up there, and he had some great years there. So to play them in this wild card game, I know it's going to be huge for him, but I'm pretty sure he won't let that get in the way of the things that we have to do, understanding that we're here for one reason. And it's not like Mike McCarthy versus Green Bay. It's not like McCarthy, it's the Dallas Cowboys versus Green Bay. And that's something players need to understand as well.
It reminds me of the way they say about Dak having to do this. And Dak don't play defense or special teams.
Exactly. We want to go out there and win this for Coach, but let's understand that it's a team that is in our way. Let's not make it bigger than what it is. Being that it's the playoffs are already a huge enough. So let's not put anything else on it. Let's not go out there and win, or let's just go out there and win, because that's what we have to do in order to achieve the things we set out to achieve starting this year.
Well, cannot disagree with any of that stuff. I think the team is ready for the playoffs. They've been ready. We got set up for this second seed here. We took it. Now it's time for us to take this first wild card game against the Packers. What else did Kurtz say?
No, that was actually the end of Kurtz's comment.
But as we get to the last segment I have to talk about here, which is basically Deron Bland and special teams. I know you have a little bit on that. Mm-hmm. I do want to make sure, I see the Lunatic in the chat. I also put some of the information there in the raffle. For the raffle information, how you can drop the love and all that good stuff. But let's quickly shout everybody out, baby, since we're on our last segment here and we're already 2 hours in.
Of course. And don't forget, guys, to hit like, subscribe, hit the bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere. Hop in the Discord links down below in the description box. Where we have Lee Side Herald, Ruben34, The Lunatic, Thomas Garrett, The Superior Garrett, Jason Renfro, much love, Mike Aldana in the house. Let me see.
What are we doing?
What? You told me to do the shout-outs.
No, I meant like the shout-outs of the leaders on our board here.
I thought you meant like the shout-outs.
No. That's for the shout-outs. That's for the finale, baby. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, you should have.
Yeah, you're right.
You just said shout-outs. I just kind of assumed it meant shout-outs in the chat.
I should have clarified. You're right.
But yes, extra special shout-out to the sponsor of the week. Repping it back-to-back like our 90s Cowboys, Jason Renfro. Thank you so much, Jason. Not just representing as the sponsor of the week. If you look up above, he's also the stream boss with 39 points on that board. Of course, he handed off the membership gifting crown to JD from DC, who's repping it now. Appreciate you, of course.
He had 20 last week on that side.
Quite the domination there. And speaking of, 3 weeks in a row, Snug X, you know why he's here, taking over as the Cash App King.
Yes, much love to Snug, repping that side of things 3 weeks in a row. Now, leader-wise, the overall leader and the Cash App leader right now is Marissa Sparkle. She said, I'm taking this whole thing for this week playoffs. I'm taking it. Marissa in the lead on both boards, although we have drops from many people in here like Smokey, Ready Red, Stanley Smith. Everybody in the house here in the running on the top of the board there. And if you come to the gifting side of things, you know it. You got in the lead right now. On the board, you got Skeptical Fan in second, but in first is Jason Renfro. He's currently dropped 2 gifted memberships and in the lead there. Again, remember all of these things, where do they all lead back to, baby? Do you remember what they all lead back to? The Jersey Raffle.
Of course, guys, again, huge shout out to everyone who, entered throughout this past week. Congrats, shout out to everybody who's going to continue to enter throughout this week. How do you do it? You drop $10, bam, you're automatically in it. Of course, every additional $10 is an additional bonus entry. And if you are in the MCF membership, once you're in the raffle, you get an additional bonus entry as well. So can't wait to see who the 4 lucky winners are going to be.
Yep.
And thank you again to the Lunatic making it happen.
Cowboy Moss jersey sewn and stitched. New, old, doesn't matter. The current uniforms, the different styles, sizes, all that good stuff. You get to choose whatever we have available. Oh, yeah. Any team, any sport, of course, but players limited to what is available. And we got a lot of Cowboy players available. I'll put it that way. We just had a DeRon Bland and a Ferguson come through. So, and those are two great players we got on our docket here for the playoffs. So as we get ready for Green Bay, and by the way, much love to the Lunatic. I know he's in the chat as well. Thank you for the love and support on this side of things. The Lunatic making these raffles fantastic. So as we kind of finish up with the defense here, the man DeRon Bland, all right, number 26, he had that last interception of the season for himself with that ninth interception, leads the NFL. His 9th of the season. He has 14 career interceptions right now, tied with Trayvon Diggs for the most by a Cowboys player in their first 2 years. Incredible. After that season that Trayvon Diggs had, we got a guy basically matched him in the same amount of interceptions in the same 2-year span. Only Everson Walls. Okay, they have 14, Diggs and Bland in 2 years. Everson Walls in 2 years had 18 combined. He's the only one that had more in those first 2 years. DeRon Bland stepped up huge with the sudden loss of Trayvon Diggs this year. 9 interceptions, which leads the NFL. Of course, 5 pick sixes, which also leads the NFL and is an official NFL record. He had 14 career interceptions, like I said, in 2 years, tying Trayvon Diggs. So is he would you say he's an all-pro in year 2? Because I think he would be an all-pro. I think he should be an all, there's no way you cannot put DeRon Bland as an all-pro here in year 2 as he prepares for the Packers. But he finished with the 3rd highest PFF rating when it comes to coverage. He was the 3rd best coverage guy among all cornerbacks. He, again, all the numbers, pick sixes and the interceptions, all great. He also dropped 3 interceptions. Interesting there. He could have had 3 more to his list. That was the 2nd most among all cornerbacks, worth 3 drops, 3 drop picks. So, man, again, being second worst in catching the ball and interceptions, yet still having 9, it's amazing. So, great job by him. Even with those with those drop interceptions. And he had 12 forced incompletions and a passer rating when he was targeted of only 48.3. So you didn't want to go at him, guys. You're not going to get a completion usually. So great numbers from him. And you go to our other cornerback that we have right now, outside of Stephon Gilmore, which we discussed already. You talk about Jordan Lewis, who's gotten a lot better after he got back. We talked about his foot injury. He spoke about his own foot injury. Went in detail about that, how he's gotten better the last couple of weeks since he's really got kind of acclimated to the football world, but also playing on that foot for the 2 months he's been back. Jordan Lewis finished 2nd among all cornerbacks when it comes to the PFF run defense grade. His grade when it comes to coverage has gotten better every week, but his run defense has been stellar since he's been in the NFL, and it continues. He finished with more forced fumbles. He had 2 forced fumbles. Remember, he had 1 in this game and recovered that fumble. He finished with more forced fumbles, 2 of them, than he did missed tackles against the run. When he was against the run, he missed one tackle the entire year. Jordan Lewis. He caused 2 forced fumbles the entire year in the run game. So great stuff there from Jordan Lewis when it comes to his help there in the coverage side of things. We cannot afford to lose anyone else, though. That's for damn sure. And the last guy I'm talking about here, a little special teams info. Special teams wise, I don't know if Dan Quinn spoke today. I think he did. So I guess he'll speak here. Let's hear from Dan Quinn first here as we get ready to wrap it up, and then we'll go right into our special teams guy here, Bones, and I'll finish up with Mr. Brandon Aubrey.
So as far as bouncing back in these last later weeks of the season here, Quinn said, "I think we're making that progress. We've been talking about sharpening the axe. We'll get tested again. That's why you go into the postseason. You have to have all your shit together."
I like the realness.
Hey, he's not wrong. So, That was pretty much it from Quinn today, because the
these
Cowboys are keeping things up.
These will probably trickle on.
Front.
These will probably trickle on through as the week continues, because they just spoke today, like literally late tonight, so that's probably why. Now, did Fossil say anything?
He did. He spoke about the whole, obviously, Brandon Aubrey situation there. So remember how a lot of us, when we saw the whole kick thing happen, we were all thinking, oh, Brett Maher, and too many of you guys, including Mr. MCF here, went straight to the Brett Maher thing. Fossil didn't even have that in mind. He said, I hadn't thought about it until you brought it up. And, well, that just speaks to the fact that, Brandon Aubrey is most certainly not Brett Maher and does not have the same kind of mental lack of fortitude, right? Fossil said he just mishit it, and there wasn't anything else to it. The thing with Brandon is, I don't think mentally he even goes there. And he doesn't. That's kind of my point.
I'm happy to hear that. That definitely makes me feel better. Especially, listen, he got one block, not his fault. That was Biotish. Then he hit the goalpost like he just said. He just hit it badly. Can't hit it badly in the playoffs. But he did then, to me, did something great, which was come back after those two misses and knock in there a 50-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. It wasn't even needed, but it was just getting him back on track. It was Aubrey's 10th field goal that he made from 50 yards or farther this year. That's the most 50-yard makes in a season in Cowboys franchise history, and that ties for the second most makes from 50 yards or farther in NFL history. Guys, if he had hit one more 50-yarder, he would have tied the all-time record, just not rookie-wise, just any kicker-wise in the history of the NFL. No one's made more than 11. Aubrey hit 10 from 50 or farther. And he's a rookie. Incredible, right? I'm going to leave him up here when it comes to Mr. John Fossil. I know the wife has some words on him. I know that. I'm sure you already spoke about it. I know Aubrey has some more things. I just wanted to say one last thing about special teams, because that's Hender's shot. Hendy. He jumped in there and jumped over a defensive back. He also got in there and jumped in there and blocked a punt. But Dallas is tied for the league lead with 3 blocked kicks this year, believe it or not. Since special teams coordinator John Fossil arrived in 2020, the Cowboys lead the NFL, the entire league, in block kicks. We have 10 block kicks in the last 4 years since Fossil has been here, and we have 6 blocked punts. That's the most in the NFL since Fossil got here. So great improvements from Fossil to get the block game going on the punts and on kicks, on field goals. So it's cost us a couple of penalties here and there, the aggressiveness, but overall, he's obviously a guy everyone wants on their team. The players love him. The fans are good with him. He's improved us from one of the worst special teams in 2019 to one of the best almost immediately, and look where we're at now. So when it comes to the kicking, the punting, the snapping, the returns, the coverage on returns, Fossil's doing a fantastic job. And again, like we saw last week about top coordinators from the player side of things, number one special teams coordinator is John Fossil without even a doubt. So we got a good one here. What did Mr. Brandon Aubrey have to say? I know he spoke.
Yeah,
and he's
said a little bit here,
kicking it off for us for the Green Bay stream starting tomorrow. But I want to hear what he had to say about the miss, about the make, about his look going forward.
I got the miss hit out of the way. I wrapped my foot around it, just pulled my toe from outside the panel. If anything, it's a little more pressure after you miss one to bounce back and show them, oh, you still got it. The NFL, it's what have you done lately? And missing just adds to that.
Hey, listen, I like Brandon Aubrey because he's thinking like I'm thinking. Exactly. You cannot miss a field goal in the fucking Super Bowl and then have us forgive you because you made everyone in the regular season. You got to make them. You got to make them all. And if they're important, you even got to make them even more so. And the fact that he missed one and then had to show he had to get back on track to miss another one, that's what's important. He agrees. It's what you've done for me now. He knocked it through, and he knew he can do it. That's great. But now we all know he can do it. And I think that's even more important to some ways for his own mentals.
So, nope, that's it on Brandon Aubrey.
There we go. It's a wrap then here in MCF. Baby, it's a long one tonight, so let's go a couple of shout-outs here.
I did some earlier.
Yeah, with a comment or two as well if you want, and we'll call it a night here at MyCowboysFamily. Start fresh tomorrow with a Green Bay first look. And, of course, hearing a little bit from Jerry Jones.
And thank you, Chalk to Montana 808, for correcting Mr. MCF when he meant to say all Madden, not all pro.
All Madden? So, I meant to say all pro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I meant to say all pro.
Okay. 24/7 Cowboy. Yes, the stinky cheese, right? Mike Aldana, much love, saying they're just one team in the way of our end goal.
Damn right.
You know it.
Damn right.
Ruben 34 said Cowboys can't look past Green Bay.
Agree. We should not. There's no way. We're going to break them down this week. We'll tell you what we need to do and stop. I've been hearing some things that, of course, their run game is very good. So that's a fear for us. But I'm also hearing that our run game is better than theirs in a lot of different ways. Like our run game is, even though they have a good run game, it's kind of like Washington. Their best thing is their run game or run defense, but they still suck in run defense. So the Green Bay's best thing is running the ball, but that they still are not that good.
They're not doing that all that successfully necessarily.
Right.
It just happens to be the best thing on their team.
Exactly, especially with the analytics side of things, you really can see. Yeah, statistically, it might look like they're great when you look at yards after contact and other things. You can see it's not really that good. But hey, listen, we'll break it down closer the whole week.
Remember, we have Hankins back, so it's a little bit less of a concern.
Great
right?
point.
The man, the lunatic, dropping those emojis. Drop them if you got them, guys.
Drop them like it's hot.
Oh, Thomas, that's awesome. He said, I took a picture of me and Micah Parsons' father yesterday before the game.
That is awesome.
That's very,
special.
very cool. Hope Papa Parsons is very proud, I'm sure. Jason Renfro said, Hankins is back. We need a deep run of the playoffs. You see, there you go.
Yep.
Jason Renfro knows what's up. Let me see. Mike Aldana, Stick Aguilar 04, even you, Least Side Herald, right? All good. Thanks for coming in here and talking about a real football team. Fuego bringing the heat. Take it easy. Have a great night as well. We got Grimbot in the house. Ready Red. Hello and hi.
And we have Nightbot.
Dirty South MVP. Yeah, I don't think Nightbot counts. Let me see. Yeah, that's about as far back as I can go here, at least on my side of things. And guys, huge shout out to every single person here, holding it down, hanging out, chilling, relaxing, listening, liking, subscribing, notification.
Hit that bell.
Right, yeah. So thank you guys for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You guys can follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily. And, of course, don't forget, you can also hop into our Discord. The link's in the description box. You
got that raffle. We already discussed it. You see it. You can hit, exclamation point raffle. You can see it in the comment, in the description. You can also just look right above there. It's pinned. All the information about the Lunatic's fantastic raffle. But let me also shout out those people that, added raffle entries or, got new ones here or just got into the raffle, like Tammy Soltis. Like she's halfway into a raffle. Tammy Soltis with her Navy Blue Crew membership there. Marissa Sparkle through the Cash App. You got Smokey also Cash Apping it. Ready Red Cash Apping it. Dwayne Broussard kicking it off for the week here live. We got Jason Renfro gifting memberships along with Skeptical Fan. And, of course, Stanley Smith in the Cash App. Thank you all for dropping the love from above and the support. Baby, let them all know why we come here every night. Playoff time now, even more so. Why we do this each and every night here at My Cowboys Family.
It's that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything.
Win, lose, or draw. Good, bad, or ugly. We want 6, and we want to win all 4 games we got left in this playoff run for that Super Bowl. But no matter what happens here on MCF, we rep that star over everything. And, of course, here on this channel for over 6.5 years, another postseason MCF, playoff, reaction streams. Here we go. I'm excited. Hopefully it's going to be all 4 of them, and it'll be a good ending. But in the end, we want 6, and in the end, baby, before we can get on out of here, never forget the number one thing here now and forever on this channel, My Cowboys Family. As always, say it with us. Go Cowboys. Let's get that 6 and beyond, as my shirt says. Thank you all for dropping your knowledge in the chat all night long. We appreciate your thoughts on our team, especially right now as we get into the playoffs. We'll break this Green Bay thing down a lot more as we get into tomorrow and beyond. Thank you all for dropping the love from above, even after dark. It all counts in here to the same. So thank you guys on that support. And as well, baby, before we can officially get on out of here, clock out for the night and drop out for the night, and reload tomorrow's first look at the Green Bay Packers. Before we go out of here, baby, let them know what we got to do before we drop out for the night.
We got to drop the beat.
That was a good playoff beat drop right there, guys. We want 6. We want 6 and beyond. Let's go get that, guys. Thank you again, hitting that like and all that good stuff. Appreciate you dropping your thoughts with us here about our Cowboys. We'll see you back here for another one right around the corner. But, of course, in the books, it's a wrap. Another Cowboys chat here on MCF. And we spoke about the game that we needed to speak about. The recap yesterday of Washington game. That's great. We got all the seasonal, regular season records and statistics out the way. Book closed. Regular season book closed. Now, right behind McCarthy's head are the stinky cheeseheads, the Green Bay Packers, and do not overlook them. Oh, they're front and center for me. Front and center for you guys here in MCF. That's the most important thing going around the corner here when it comes to this team going forward. And do not overlook them. Remember, it's about that navy blue, that silver too, that star over everything right here in MCF. Never forget the number one thing here in My Cowboys Family. Much love to everyone in the house. Make sure you don't forget to hit that like for the stream. Hit subscribe for the channel. Hit that notification bell so you know we're going live. Jump in the Discord. Follow us at My Cowboys Family at all social media, Twitter, X, and all that good stuff. And, of course, we'll see you back here tomorrow for another one. Stay safe. Have a good night. Peace out. Leave a comment below if you're watching this on the replay. And never, ever, ever, never, ever forget, Go Cowboys!
Monk on the beat.